All right, who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Welcome to a Friday night episode of the Dirt Life Show. We are stoked to have everybody join us today. We hope that everybody can jump on, comment in, all our online friends on YouTube and Facebook. It'd be awesome to talk with everybody. Tonight's show is episode 48, and man, we are stoked to have both Justin Smith of Shock Therapy and Matt Burke is going to be our featured guest tonight. So thank you guys both for staying late at the shop and joining us, man.
Absolutely. I know I'm completely happy to sit and work a little longer for sure. So
yeah, exactly.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's really neat to be able to talk with both of you guys. We had a couple conversations before the show. I also had tacos too, which was fantastic. Thank you for the recommendation, Justin.
And Phil Umberto's is amazing around here.
Yeah, it actually is pretty good. It's better than the one down where we live. So, and thank you very much for letting us use the shop, dude. We got both cars here. We got Ernie's car. We got Matt's car right here. It's which Matt said he was also going to race it this coming week too.
Yep, the midnight special snore race next Saturday.
That'll be pretty fun, man, especially at midnight, right? So, yeah, like I said, thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We'll go through all of the sponsors, and we'll kind of get into everything. I know we got some funny stories to talk about. It's going to be pretty cool, but we're just going to have a little bit of shop talk for the first half hour, 45 minutes, and then we're going to get deep into your story, man. Talk about Southern California, talk about DynoJet, all kinds of fun stuff.
Sounds like fun.
So, yeah, thank you guys very much, like I said, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are our lifeblood, and we couldn't do it without you guys. And obviously, we can't do it without all of our sponsors. So the first sponsor we'd like to thank is obviously Shock Therapy. Thank you very much, Justin, for always having our back, supporting the show, supporting me, letting us use the shop. It's pretty cool that when we have partners, we can actually go out to lunch with them. We can have fun with them. We can enjoy the fruits of everybody's labor, right? So thank you very much to Shock Therapy. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at shocktherapist.com, and you can save a whole bunch of money. And you can also call the guys at the shop anytime and tell them that the Dirt Life sent you, and save a whole bunch of money with those guys too. They offer all kinds of cool stuff. We got a steering rack right here. We got some apparel, and obviously they have their ride improvement systems for your vehicles. Some of the vehicles that I was moving around today, just pulling them in and out, felt like they could really go over some bumps in the desert, man. So
we have plenty of stuff around here. If you want to stay a little bit longer, we'll put you to work pushing them in and out. Trust me.
Sounds good. I can be the lot boy.
Oh, yeah, we'll take it. Free labor all day.
So, so thank you guys very much to the guys at Shock Therapy. Thank you to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products. In fact, Travis Zollinger is going to be our featured guest on next Monday, not this coming Monday, but next Monday's show. And we're going to talk to him about all the fantastic products that they make, and obviously doing so well lately at the races. And that's going to be cool because Travis has got a really unique story as well. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com and save a whole bunch of money with those guys. They make bitchin' products. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at RuggedRadios.com and get some of that stuff for your car and get your communications all dialed in. And thank you guys very much to the guys at Solder Weld. They got this awesome welding blanket here. These things are super cool. They got magnets in them, eyelets, the whole deal. And you can use the code DIRTLIFE at SolderWeld.com. And then finally, thank you very much to the guys at KMC Wheels. Next Thursday, we are going to go to California, and we are going to be doing a shop tour with the guys at Proctor Race Group, which is Honda Offroad. So that's going to be a pretty cool shop tour, much like the shop tour that we did with Justin a while ago for his whole Shock Therapy setup. So it'll be pretty neat to be able to check out what those guys have going on. They operate a really cool program over there. So we can't wait to hang out with Jeff Proctor and all the guys over there at, and the KMC guys at the Honda Off-Road shop. So, we want you guys to join us and have a little bit of fun with us on YouTube and Facebook. As much as we might be a little scared of the questions, it's always cool to have the guests comment in.
That's my favorite part. I think the questions are badass because you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like, Forrest Gump and chocolates. But
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And some of the stuff is actually pretty cool. I know that you guys do a lot of live videos as well on your guys' Shock Therapy channels, and some of the questions are off the wall, but some of them are really technical and really important with the subject matter that you guys do.
I enjoy it because one of my faults, I suppose, is I can geek out over engineering pretty fast, and I'll talk way too much about it. And especially around friends, they probably have heard it 5 or 6 or 10, 100 times before. And I know Shane's over there in the background laughing because he's probably heard it way too many times in the chase truck on a long run. I think that if somebody's interested in it, then it's free for me. I'm gonna talk about it if I can help somebody.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Matt was probably in the same boat here. Like, that's what this show is all about, just talking shop, right? So whatever subjects we come up with, we can all just have a good time with it. So we usually preface the show. We're going to do a soft intro today. We call it a soft intro. So we're going to have a little bit of fun talking shop and hanging out with Matt. And then after we go to commercial break, we're going to dive into Matt's story and really get into the nuts and bolts of his career, and obviously growing up. Like I said, he grew up in Southern California, so it'll be pretty cool to really dive into it. A lot of people know Matt as DynoJet Matt, but the purpose of the show is to have fun with people and to really get behind the story behind the person, and to make sure that everybody knows who Matt really is, who, like we did with Justin, who Justin really is. We see people at the races, we see people at the shop, and we shake their hand, right? And we feel like we know them, or we see them on a live video and we feel like we know them, but really, do we know them? And that's what the show is all about.
So we get to dig into your past, Matt.
Uh-oh.
We're going to uncover a bunch of stuff. Just so that you guys know, I actually got his mom's number, and I got some history as he was a kid. I've got my phone right here for a reason, because I'm getting updates on Matt's history and stories at races as we speak with texts of your friends.
Just saw Jeremiah Drew come through.
Oh, yeah. So I've got a few things we can hit him with. Hopefully you don't know them and they are a surprise.
That's going to be pretty cool.
You don't remember them, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's going to be pretty awesome, getting those behind-the-scenes updates. So we're excited to have Matt and get back into his story. A few of the things that I wanted to talk about today were kind of just industry stuff. So one of the things we'll get into is your transition from DynoJet Research over to shock therapy. You work with Justin now. But a lot of people, and especially right now in this current time, 2020, are, I don't want to say afraid of losing their job, or there's transitionary periods that are always hard in life, right? So if you switch from job A to job B, even if you're a hairstylist, right, and you move from salon to another salon, there's a lot of stress, right? Because you leave the people that you care about or you don't care about, and you go to another job. And a lot of times it's difficult for people to make those transitions. But it sounds like both of you have accepted the transition really, really well, and you even left on really, really good terms with DynoJet too.
Yeah, I mean, I was just coming up on 7 years with DynoJet. It definitely was stressful making the change, because I was in a groove there, familiar with the whole process.
Yep.
Coming to a new job, it's always, okay, you've got to learn all these new things.
Put you in the fire.
Yeah. Which I'm always up for the challenge, but it sets your nerves off a little bit. Plus moving into another state.
Yep.
Moving family. But I knew the opportunity was something that I really wanted.
So, yeah, and that's another thing too, is moving a whole nother state. Like again, we'll get into it, but you were living in Las Vegas, and
right.
I mean, I guess the transition isn't that bad because it's just hot as shit either place, right?
Fact.
I don't know. When the humidity here, that first, I showed up here and then it was like 116. I was like, what did I do?
Well, we do have an AC shop, so hopefully that goes a little bit of a ways.
Helps out just a little bit, right?
Yep.
So I admire that trait a lot, though, because a transitionary period like that doesn't just come from being a nice person that day that you're leaving, right? It's a longevity thing. It's working with people, making a good impression, having a long-lasting good impression, and it's really, really meaningful, especially in such a niche or small industry like the side-by-side industry or the off-road industry, because when you're out on the track, you don't want to make any enemies, right?
Right.
And when you're working in the industry, it's even that much more important to make everybody, friends or whatever you want to call it. So I think I really commend you for being able to do something like that. It shows the character of you as a person.
Well, I mean, I spent, the last 7 years with DynoJet, and, I have nothing bad to say about them. I mean, they gave me so many opportunities. Every time something new popped up, and they gave me a shot at that challenge. And I mean, I don't even know if I ever would have come across the side-by-side industry without them. It was one of those things. They sent me to an event, and I fell in love with the industry.
That's super cool.
And and then they gave me the ability to go as far as I want with it. And they're a great bunch of guys back there. I definitely, there's a part of me that misses working with some of them, because we all had built relationships and friendships over the last few years. A lot of those guys, we went on the road together.
Yep, spent a lot of time doing that.
A lot of time. So I mean, but it just was to a point where I wanted a new challenge.
So how was it? How was it working over there? Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I always tell people, no matter how bad the day is, I mean, we're still working in the power sports industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than sitting there, answering the phones at a data center, or, it's, I mean, we work in the power sports industry. It's what I dreamed of as a kid. Is I loved motorcycles. I loved, fun stuff. I don't like the regular day-to-day kind of job.
So I couldn't agree more, and I think Justin is probably on the same page with this. Is when I broke my back. I was a dirt bike racer for a long time, and reached professional level. Then I broke my back, and I was injured, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. Like, what do? You don't have another job, right? And I didn't have a college education, and so long story short, I got a computer science degree, and I was like, shit, I'm going to have to go get one of those tech jobs, like what you're talking about, sitting in a call center. I'm like, this is going to kill me. Like, it really will. Like any of us sitting here, right? And so I was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move to Southern California, and I'm going to work for a cool company. And so finally I got a job, and it was at a company called Spy Optic. They make sunglasses and goggles and stuff like that. And it was like a perfect fit, because I wasn't just a computer guy. I was a computer guy in the action sports industry. So I could talk the language of the people's computers that I was working on or doing things with. And it was a really, really easy transition. And it was cool because I wasn't the typical computer guy. And then what it did was it springboarded the rest of the career to be able to work with cool companies like that, because I wasn't a guy, the typical computer guy walking around with glasses and things like that. I was talking their language because I was riding dirt bikes or doing the same things as they were on the side. So I can totally see what you're saying about the job. And I think, Justin, I mean, you created shock therapy out of a need for Jeanette, but...
I always wanted to do something that was fun, because then you hopefully don't work ever if you're doing something fun. I failed at like 20 different things that were tons of fun. So I'm really, really good at that. If you guys ever need advice on how to do it wrong, I'm the guy to ask. It worked out with shock therapy, but I think there is nothing more important than enjoying what you do. And if you do, then it really isn't work, and you enjoy being there. You could do it any hour of the day, any day of the week, as opposed to dreading to going to it. So that would be big advice on what I would say.
So what was the catalyst then to have Matt transition over to shock therapy from DynoJet then? Was it something that was similar to that, some emotions like that, being out at the races, understanding the people that you're going to work for? Like, how did it go?
Me first?
Go for it.
Okay, so...
Drinking beers at the fire, I guess, right?
Definitely beer, but Matt and I had met through racing, and he was instrumental in having DynoJet come on board with the race car and sponsor us, and that relationship just kept on growing. And what I thought was unique about Matt is that he's friends with everybody, and everybody respects him all over the world, not necessarily all over the United States. And I think he goes to so many different events and talks to so many different people. I didn't call Matt and look for it. I think it was more of a floated out there thing. Hey, is there anything in the future that could work? Is that a good way to put it?
I kind of I heard him on a live show mention that they were because someone asked if they were hiring, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're hiring for some shock techs." And I was like, "Yeah, I call him up. I was like, hey, you looking for a shock tech?" And he was just like, it was more of like a joke, and then the conversation just kind of. He's like, are you serious?
I feel like some of the best relationships start that way.
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, if there's an opportunity, I might be ready to make a change, and it just kind of happened. It wasn't like in the back of my mind, I wasn't going like, oh, I need to get a job there. It just, because, I was still doing what I was doing at my job.
Right.
And it wasn't hate, I loved working at DynoJet. But it just was one of those things, like the opportunity just seemed really exciting to me to kind of expand my.
So basically what you're saying is it wasn't for the factory suspension that you can get?
I already have it.
The unobtainable.
You weren't
parts.
taking the job just to get stuff on the car?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, that already happened.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I said, in number one, he never, ever talked bad about DynoJet, and we, as a business, still have a great relationship with DynoJet, and
they actually
with
help
us.
you with your race program, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they do, and they continue to, and so the transition's been awesome, and it's the way it should be. All businesses should talk about it, and employees and others should talk about it. As long as everything's on the table, then everybody's happy afterwards, and that's exactly where it is now.
Yeah, that's super cool. I kind of feel like we're getting Dr. Phil-ish on it. Like, hey, if any of your wives are mad at you, please talk with them, open up the conversation.
Communication is the key in relationships and in business.
Exactly.
Yeah, weird.
So we have one person said, welcome to Arizona, Matt, and Justin will like this. We got a hashtag no chase already.
Thank you, no chase at all times.
No
that
chase.
works.
So if Chase is watching, we love you, buddy. I wanted to say thank you to Steve as well, because Steve did a good job helping me out, man. He was like the 2 Men in a Truck movie.
I wish that Steve stayed, because he'd be great in the background, probably putting rabbit ears over your head right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's what kind of, maybe that was one of the things too that got Matt interested in working over here. Is you have a very loose environment that's everybody gets work done, but everybody still has a good time.
We met at the races, so it was even looser. I think, possibly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you weren't shooting too high for how it actually is over here.
No, but I mean, it's like, how your guys helped me those first couple races, where I didn't have the support team yet. I mean, the guys.
Tell me a little bit more about that. So, what was the race?
Parker was the first one, Parker 250.
Okay.
And
was it one of your first UTV races?
It was our first UTV race.
Oh shit!
So
the first one.
Yeah, this is actually the first season. The funny background on how we got to racing is, so I sponsor, I was running the sponsorship for DynoJet.
Right.
And then a year, so not this year's Parker, the year before, Jeremiah, who we were sponsoring, we were title sponsoring his car.
That's Jeremiah Drew, XP Warrior.
Yes.
XP Warrior.
He invited me out to the Parker race. So I got to go down to experience my first off-road race.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hooked. It wasn't a good day for the car, but I was hooked. And so I started coming to races and helping out and being involved in the team. Well, last year at the night race, the one with the very windy night race.
Yep. That was 40-mile-an-hour crosswinds in Laughlin.
No way, really?
Yep.
So that weekend was my 5th wedding anniversary with my wife. And I decided to roll the dice. I'm like, hey, why don't you come out to this off-road race? And I knew either she was going to hate me forever or she was going to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And so she got to see her first trophy truck.
Uh-oh.
And
was that the deal sealer?
She was like, how do I get one of those? And I was like, we can't afford that.
Sell the house.
And we got down to a UTV, and she's like, yeah, I'm game. Let's do this.
Wow, really?
And so we turned around and literally bought the show car from DynoJet and started our journey. And then Parker was our first race. We do race the sportsman, rally sportsman class.
Yep.
Which is kind of a stock class. But, she drives. We usually split the race. She'll drive part of the race. I drive part of the race.
I had no idea about that. So what would you think if Jeanette wanted to get in the car?
So Jeanette wishes and wants to be in the car at every single moment in time, and if she did, she'd probably kill it. Judging by how she drives her car on the way home, she would probably win every single race. Guaranteed. But she also knows her limitations with the back stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then for any of our audience members that are new, Justin operates a company called Shock Therapy, and the reason that he started it was because his wife has a bad back, and he wanted to make it more comfortable so she could ride. So that right there, if it doesn't tell you that he does good shock work, is a testimony in itself. So we had one guy comment in, Jeff Furrier, to say hello. So hi, Jeff. How's it going? We talked about some of their seat pads, actually. So.
Yeah, I heard they've got some new stuff out for the racing seats that's quite amazing. We'd like to look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool to see those things. So we got one of our buddies calling in, too.
Matt, you were talking about, your wife's involvement in that and the anniversary that you jumped on that. I was talking with Skylar Howell, who navigates for Brandon Sims.
Yep.
And did you hear that
about the wedding?
He's got a wedding that's booked for the new scheduled date for Laughlin.
Oh, no.
Yes. And
his date is for the Havasu race.
For the Havasu race.
Yeah, the Worlds.
Yeah, and he floated it to her, and that didn't go very well at all. But that goes to show you that everybody in racing,
what's up?
Racing's first.
Yep. What's going down, Cody Sanders? How are you, man?
What are you guys doing?
We're just talking shop about about a sticky situation that somebody's going to get married on one of the rescheduled races. So how would Carly feel if you guys all of a sudden had to reschedule the wedding for a race?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday on yesterday's show, man.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Well, that's hardcore. That goes to show you there's a big juggling act between racing and spouses.
Yep.
It's pretty common
Hey,
for
the things
everybody.
you do for love.
I can tell you what, any of the people that I've had as relationships with, I would have had to cancel the race. What do you think Jeanette would have said?
She's been supportive on all of it. I don't even think that we've gotten our anniversary from 20 years ago because we've always had something more important to go do. That was probably my idea, so she's awesome.
Well, I think she gets a pass, though, because you let her have a kangaroo and an alligator. So.
Oh, yeah, she's had a zoo at some point.
Have you ever heard those stories, Matt?
No, you have a kangaroo?
Well, I did. We don't have the kangaroo anymore because that sucker is a pain in the ass.
Who the hell has an alligator and a kangaroo, man?
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Maybe some boots.
Oh, my God.
Eventually it would have got turned into boots the way that gator was going.
So what's going on with you, Cody? You guys have anything going on with the Arizona 520 side-by-side stuff?
No, we just got a few things coming up. August 1st, we're going down to one of the local tracks here to show support in this tough time that we're living in. Hopefully everything goes as planned. And show support just to a local track and show off our cars and be able to drive around the track and show the kids that life is still good.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I was talking to some of the employees here, like Steve, and who just chimed in as well. Steve and a couple of the guys were talking about Justin being able to support a lot of the stuff that you guys have, and the shock therapy guys really getting involved with the stuff that you have going on in Arizona, where you're helping the Diamond Children's Hospital, or you're helping law enforcement and those kinds of things. It's pretty cool because we were just talking about the industry being so tight knit and such a good group of people to be able to help out like that.
Yeah, man. Justin and the guys over at Shock Therapy have done so much for us and for me, and really appreciate it from Justin and Ernie, everybody over there, man. And I'm sad not to see Steve-O on set, man. I'm really sad to not see that. I got all excited, from all the pictures and stuff earlier, but yeah, it's a rough time right now. You guys are trying to keep it. Yeah.
Bringing the kids.
Yeah, man. When I was down there, I saw you guys. I brought my wife down there the last time. We were picking up some stuff for the local shops in Tucson, and you guys were filming, and Steve, he got to take us back there. Carly didn't get to go, last time to the last in December show. So it was nice. You got to meet people and get to see the shop, and you guys are always so welcoming all the time. And I really appreciate that. And all the hard work and dedication, you help a lot of people out. So
speaking of wives, Jeff Freer just said, you guys must be new. You work out your race schedule before your weddings. And he put the upside down emoji.
The sad part is no matter what they try to do, the woman is always right.
Absolutely.
She sets the day. She sets the day, man. That's just how it works.
Especially when you guys are having Taco Tuesday, right?
That's it.
We really appreciate you calling in and talking to us about the stuff that you have going on, dude.
Yeah, thank you guys again for everything you do for the community, and can't wait to see the rest of the show.
All right, bud. We'll see you.
Thank you.
So one thing I wanted to talk about while we're talking about this industry stuff, it's coming up on a year of the Dirt Life show, and I don't know, maybe 2 months, about a year ago, I met up with this guy. His name is Josh at a company called TactMed Info, and they have this really cool product. They don't support the show. They don't do anything. It's just a cool product that's close to my heart because I was hurt at the UTV World Championship just over a year ago. And these things are like, we've mentioned a couple more times on the shows, but I wanted to give each one of you guys these things. I'll hand you yours, Justin. But they're like dog tags for your racing suit, which is super, super cool. And it's one of those things that you don't ever want to have, right? Like you don't want to think about. But when you don't have it, it's bad, right? So I think these would be super, super cool to have. But thank you to Josh at the TACMed Info for giving these to you guys. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Super impressive. I think it's a great idea. You know, we used to take and write our blood type on our helmet and next, contact, like written on the helmet.
Yeah.
But this is the next level. It has every single thing on it that EMS is going to want to know if they came up on you.
Yep.
And a much better idea than just, chicken scratch on your helmet.
I agree 100%. I would have loved to have had this on me. So, because your phone, usually we have our phones, but they're in the glove box or wherever in the car, right? And sometimes they have medical information on it, but this is super easy to access because what EMT or what medical personnel do you want to have doing? You want to have them working on you when you're hurt, or do you want to have them looking for your phone?
Well, they might find the dick pics, and then it would really screw up the timing
exactly.
on fixing.
Check out what he got. He's still getting messages. So, yeah, thank you very much to Josh over at TACMed for giving us that stuff. So, yeah, going on the industry stuff, I really think I've been thinking about it more and more lately. The Dirt Life show is going to be almost a year old, and I've understood from a different standpoint how valuable the relationships in the industry are, right? So when we're racers, we don't think like what people do at their desk when they're working on stuff, right? We think, oh, we're the cool guy, we're having fun, we're out there, we're winning races, we're doing these things, right? And you guys have talked to all these guys, the fastest guy on the planet, right? The Robbie Gordons at the sand dunes, all these guys. And understanding more of the behind the scenes with the Dirt Life has given me the opportunity to really see what you guys deal with all the racers, with all of the customers. And I appreciate that more than I could have ever done before this. So it's neat to see that you guys have the ability to not just understand what the racers do and interact with them properly, but be able to support them. Because giving somebody help and understanding what they need, just like Justin did for you when you were on the course, is pretty phenomenal when you're in situations like this for such a niche, small industry.
I think that Matt's probably better at discussing that subject. And the reason I'm going to say that is because he's got, I think he probably still has the same contacts in his phone that he had 7 years ago when he started working for DynoJet.
I started transferring him over to the new phone today.
And that's, how do you even do that? How do you have the first contacts from when you started still being very in touch with you, no matter where you're going and what you're doing?
Well, it's kind of funny because I actually am already getting, because for a little while I didn't tell anyone where I was going, and then I showed up at Silver State 300 and word was going around like, hey, so, I guess it was like taking bets on where I had moved to.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people had figured out probably where I was going. But it was, a lot of them were coming like, hey, yeah, so where are you going? I was like, I'll tell you soon. But already people are wanting to come, follow me this direction.
That's cool.
But, one of the big things that I really tried to do was that everything I did was not only to benefit DynoJet, but to move this industry forward. So
looking at the big picture,
I've never, like on social media, I get lots of questions. Well, is your product better than this product? And I always say, you know what? All the products out there are good.
Right. They're
all good for individuals. The issue that people do is you've got all these, keyboard warriors out there that, instead of someone asks a question, instead of giving them proper information, which is just what the product can do, so the person can make a decision for themselves, they're like, oh, you need to get this. And that could be bad information for that individual because they might not need that.
100%.
And I also have always strived for, I have a great relationship with the guys at Evo, Jimmy and Todd.
And for people that don't know, is a direct competitor with DynoJet.
Correct. But it was like they specialize in some specific vehicles, and they are great at what they do. And there was stuff that DynoJet did that they didn't do.
Yep.
And it was like, it wasn't that one was better than the other. It was just they had different things. We weren't writing, some of the tunes that they were doing for like E98 or whatever. It's not what DynoJet was doing or promoting. But that's what Evo did. And I'd be happy to send a customer that direction saying, hey, what you're looking for, this is what you need.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense too, because you can inform the customer what they want, and then you can obviously have them be able to choose. And Justin's actually talked to me about this stuff before too, and told me, I think I had messaged you one day when I saw a video of shock therapy being compared on YouTube to somebody else, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. I like it. Yeah, it's awesome that they do that, because it creates the opinion of whatever the customer wants to do. If they want to call me, I'll tell them the honest truth and see what they say.
And awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think one of the biggest things in especially a small industry, which we're in, everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
Everybody talks. Lots of chit chat, even soap operas, all that good stuff happens. I think that competitors can still be friends and should be. And for us, we are friends and compatriots with all of the shock manufacturers. We're not against any of them in any way. And for them to perceive that we would be wrong, and we would obviously have that discussion, and we have. But we have an open relationship with everybody in the industry, and even people that might be more a direct competition to us, who might tune or sell springs or whatever. Well, for instance, I know everybody over at IBOC, all the guys that own it, run it, dealer sales and production managers over there. And, we are direct competitors on spring kits quite often. I don't have any problem with those guys. And they buy stuff from us, and we buy stuff from them. And that's the way it should be. We should talk, or at least call and go, hey, how's it going? How's the wife? Instead of, being against each other because they're a competitor and you just have this perceived enemy thought in your head. I'm completely against that, and I hate it when I see other people do it.
But there is actually a lot of people that do that, and you guys are both being humble, which I appreciate. But the truth of the matter is that you guys get the treatment that you do because you do have this mentality. And one of the things that you'll notice, obviously, is Justin helped you at your first race. But last time at the Mint 400, or was it Silver State, when Kristen Matlock brought you a shock?
Yeah.
A direct competitor with their team. That's phenomenal, and it's because of exactly what you guys are talking about.
That's the way it should be, and it works. In my opinion, it should work like that in racing. It should work like that in business too, if it can.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to do it, I think.
Yeah, and clearly Matt thinks the same way.
Well, yeah, that's how you've run everything. You're friends with competitors in what you did, and I know you're friends with competitors coming here.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see the point. Mm-hmm. We're all working to move this industry forward.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
If we kind of work together to do that and give the proper information out there, it's amazing how many times so let's say they needed a tuner, like when I was working for DynoJet, they needed a tuner for something that we didn't do. Send them over to Evo, but then they might come back because they hear Justin's running our clutch kit and want to run our clutch kit.
Yep.
And because I was straightforward with them and honest with them, they come back.
Yep.
Same exact scenario for us. We've got guys that might have somebody else's tune inside the shock. They might have somebody else's spring kit. They buy our rack. They buy our sway bar kit. They buy all the other components that we have, and we help them tune it with what they have, even though it's somebody else's stuff. It doesn't matter. There's the business is bigger than all of us.
Right.
Why fight over a customer or two? There's plenty of work to go around.
Yep.
So don't compete in a mean way. Compete in a friendly way.
Well, so let's take it one step further then. So we'll get into what you're talking about, or what your situation is, just getting into racing and stuff. But how do you guys feel this? Like I was thinking about the other day, like in 2008, 2010, we were still driving Rhinos. Now look how, Ernie's car is 3 feet off the freaking ground. This thing is badass, and Matt's car can go through the desert at 50 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, whatever it is. And some of the race cars that you have, it's phenomenal how bitchin' these side-by-sides are.
And if you can go back further, then that's a golf cart. So golf cart, Rhino, and now the beginnings in 800s and 900s, and here's where we're at. Can you imagine where it's going to go? We're basically going to be shrinking down real cars, and you're going to have all the amenities. Automatic trannies and probably AC and all this other stuff is probably going to happen. As far as racing is concerned, these things are already as fast as a Class 10 car.
So I didn't want to be the guy that brings up this stuff, but so we've seen a manufacturer that's going to come out with a dual clutch transmission and a cool transfer case and things like that. And obviously a bigger engine. It's going to be a 4-cylinder engine and just cool stuff like that. So the side-by-side market, in my opinion, I still can't like forget like the things that we used to do in the Rhino. Like when you're going in the Rhino and you're going on an off-road trail and you see a little rain rut that's maybe 6 inches, you're locking up the brakes, sliding sideways, like, no way, I can't hit this. And then you get there and you bottom out or hit the front bumper on it, and now you can go through it at 60 miles an hour.
Where everything's gone with the massive amount of funding from big companies like Polaris and engineering, backing of probably 100 engineers working on this stuff, we're all benefiting. It's amazing. Pretty soon we're going to be, we might drive trophy trucks to work every single day, as long as they probably won't be $30,000 from Polaris, but it's probably going to be cheaper than a new F-250. Yeah. Those are 70 or 80 grand. I bet you, a mini trophy truck's probably going to be 40. 45. It's probably coming.
So since that new Bronco came out, what do you guys think of that compared to a side-by-side? I'd still go out and get a side-by-side first.
I'd still get the side-by-side.
Yeah, side-by-side. I think it has a cool look and it's great marketing, but I haven't sat in one yet. And it's, I'm, more of the side-by-side fast race side of things.
You don't want to be doing Bronco suspension?
No, I would have to. We definitely pass on everything
Broncos?
that's not side-by-side.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you guys talking about all this stuff. It's getting to be a little later. It's almost 6:45, so why don't we take a quick commercial break, and then we'll jump in and get all the details on Matt's life, man. I know we got some fun stories. So
His mom is texting me right now.
That sounds really weird. All right, so Justin better answer Matt's mom, and we'll be right back. Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in the Desert and SCORE. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans, like, let's say, a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up.
You can patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah, also as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel, and then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we are back. So thank you very much, both of you guys, for joining us. I'd like to introduce our featured guest tonight, a formal introduction. So most notably, until recently, known as DynoJet Matt. So everybody knows him as DynoJet Matt. But he grew up in the beaches of Southern California and Santa Monica, surfing, and he's had a love for two wheels for most of his life. And now he's been racing side-by-sides off-road and transitioning from DynoJet Research over to shock therapy. So we would like to welcome DynoJet Matt.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you, man. It's great having you on the show. I, first of all, really appreciate all the stuff DynoJet has done. I remember the first thing that I ever bought for my Yamaha Rhino was a little fuel programmer, I think, that you guys made at DynoJet.
Yeah, we had fuel controllers and some power commanders.
Those things are pretty cool, man. I remember just like getting the Rhino. Well, coming from a dirt bike, it was a two-stroke carburetor, so you switch out the jets and stuff like that. You know, that's the tuning you get, and then all of a sudden I see this little piggyback programmer. I'm like, what? This is how you change it? Holy cow!
Yeah, so DynoJet was always known originally for their jet kits.
Yep.
And of course the chassis dynamometers. So that's kind of where that name came from. Then they went into piggyback systems. Well, when fuel injection came out, piggyback systems came out. And then the past few years, that's where the flash tuning came in.
Yep.
And then, they kind of dove into the side-by-side market.
They really got heavy into it, huh?
It's definitely where a push that they have is.
So we'll start talking about that in just a little bit because that's part of the duties that you had over at DynoJet. But let's Tarantino it and go backwards a little bit. So you grew up in Santa Monica, California, man. A lot of people I know would like to grow up in Santa Monica, California.
Yeah, it was. It's a big, small city, I should say.
It's loud.
Check sound.
Yeah, we got it. Okay.
It's at the beach.
Yeah.
So I grew up around the ocean my whole life. Been swimming since I was 2 years old. Started surfing when I was 8. So
water baby.
Definite water baby. Spent a lot of time doing that. It was a big
your mom
transition.
told me that you've got a ton of surfing trophies in the house.
Here we go with the whole mom thing again.
Yeah, I got a few. But
That's impressive.
Yeah, I competed in high school.
Mm.
There was a lot of guys way better than me for sure. We lived about a half a mile from the ocean.
Do you have anybody that you could name drop that was like that you would surf with or that you would compete against? Because I know from living in Southern California as well, I know a lot of the guys out there too.
Well, Strider.
Yeah.
He came from Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
He was known for surfing pipe. He's about a year older than me. And he eventually became the Quicksilver team manager, which I think he still does today.
That's pretty neat.
So he was like the biggest name that came out of our city. But I mean, there was a lot of, I was the same age as, actually I was a year younger than Kelly Slater. So I grew up watching him on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And, that was the guy, and which is really crazy. I actually got to meet him about 12 years ago.
Not very many people can say that.
No, he had come out with a book, and so my parents ordered his book, and I got to go to a book signing in Malibu. So I got to meet him, and that was kind of, he was an idol growing up.
Absolutely.
So I mean, the guy's still killing it, at 48 years old. So, I don't know. That's what I grew up on. I'm used to the ocean.
So, well, first of all, I'm not a guy that's used to the ocean. I'll give you a little bit of backstory to ask my question. So, I'd never swam in the ocean before, and I decided in 2012 to do an Ironman. And I'd never done a triathlon before, nothing like that. And I was like, okay, I got to learn how to swim. I'm just this dude from Arizona that, like, the most I've done is drank beer at the lazy river, right? So I have no idea how to swim. I didn't know how to swim at all. Like, I could doggy paddle. And I'm like, fuck, I got to swim in the ocean? So I learned how to swim, and, like, I do it for a year, and I get all, like, in the pool, and I'm doing decent, right? And then you get in the ocean, it's not like it's a completely different world. It's insane. And, like, I'm from the desert. I was scared shitless that something was going to get me from underneath the water, right? Like, I have no idea. I don't know it's. So, first things first, like, how is it? Like, when you grow up that way, you don't think like that, I guess, huh?
No. It's just, it's almost like, going out into the desert and you're not used to it. Like, off-roading, when first getting into it, was a little intimidating.
Where are we? What are we doing?
Well, like, I didn't understand how they were getting through the desert like that. It just was a different environment for me.
Right.
100 degrees. Like, I'm used to being cooled off in the water and
ocean breeze. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just you get used to it. It's just something that's become second nature to you. Some of those guys, I mean, you're spending 3/4 of your life down there. You're going before school, after school, weekends.
Did you start tats and when you were surfing or after?
Oh, no, years after.
After?
Yeah, years after.
So I don't know if you can show that camera, but you can show him some of your arms and stuff. So that's what Justin's asking about.
That's actually Channel Island Surfboards.
Really?
Yeah. That's their logo.
Man.
That's their logo.
That's cool. When did you get that?
Probably like 14 years ago.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Got any messed up tats?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
The one around my neck.
Let me see it.
What does it say?
What is
it? It says Brothers Keeper, except the person didn't line it up right, so it like stopped short on one side.
Brothers Keep.
At least it's spelt right. It could be like Brothers Reaper or Eaper.
One letter over, and it would have been perfect.
No regrets, not even one letter.
Not regrets.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. What about any?
How about drunk party tattoos that you wish you got rid of?
Oh, it sounds like we got something here.
I think I nailed it on that one. He's thinking too hard.
You press the button.
Oh, like my leg.
Tramp stamps?
I don't know. I had this tattoo started.
He's avoiding it. I can tell he's avoiding something.
No tramp stamps, but it was literally like a guy did the tattoo, and then afterwards I was like, it is the ugliest thing. So we started covering it up. But I really haven't got any tattoos in 8 years.
That's not too bad, though. I mean, like, all the stuff you have looks cool.
I think this pirate was the last thing I got.
I think it's neat to see the creativity that comes behind those things. Like, where does some of the ideas come from and all that stuff?
I had a roommate who was a tattoo artist.
That's easy.
And literally, it would be like,
on you?
He'd be like, "Hey, I got an idea. Come on down."
Justin must know something that I don't, because he's trying to
if I push long enough, I'll find a funny one on you somewhere. So when you moved to Vegas, obviously that's all automotive based. But were you into that stuff when you were in Santa Monica?
I was, but
well, you had said that you like riding street bikes and stuff, right? Did you do that in California?
I've had a few street bikes, even had a few out here too. I don't know. I always liked two wheels. I just thought it was fun to ride.
Did you get into the Harley thing heavy with DynoJet?
No, I did a lot. I did Harley events. I've owned one Sportster. just never really was my thing. I like the faster bikes.
Sportsters are kind of gay.
Yeah. So, so sport bikes are more my thing. But man, I found the desert side by side.
If you could get any sport bike right now, just go down to the dealership and budget wasn't a question, and just walk out with one. What would it be? I still like the R1s, man.
You know what? I look at all those sport bikes and they look so uncomfortable now.
They really do. The seats, oh my god!
I put on some weight and I don't kind of lay over the tank just quite the same anymore.
My street bike experience, this will date me for sure. My first car when I was 15 was a GPZ 750 because in California I could ride at 15.5 with a learner's permit.
Yep.
And my buddy wrecked it right in front of us at 100 miles an hour. He walked away somehow.
Yeah.
Got the money from that and went and bought a Ninja 750 because I didn't want a Suzuki that everybody else had.
Yep.
And eventually that turned into a drag bike, long arm and everything, and got into drag racing and moved on. But that was, I think if I had a street bike now, I would definitely kill myself because back then it was like every freeway on-ramp's 140.
Yep.
And there's no way today.
It's crazy, man. But I still think that they're cool in their environment. Like a side-by-side is not necessarily cool driving down the street, but it's cool in its environment out in the desert, right?
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool driving on the street. I can't wait to get mine legal.
That is pretty cool. But
I'd probably drive it to work, watch.
But I think some of those stuff like MotoGP and stuff, those guys are fucking insane.
I could get behind that. Too. Huh? They're incredibly talented. Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
I just have mass respect for those guys whenever I watch one of those races.
So Dusty Schaller from DynoJet, he's one of the R&D managers. He actually has the land speed record for a 600 at the Salt Flats in Bonneville.
What's the speed?
206 miles.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Really?
That's crazy.
On a bike they built at DynoJet.
Wow.
How long was that bike? I can only imagine like getting head shake on that and just peeing your pants. Like
it didn't look. It's not stretched out like quarter-mile bike. Like there's
more
still,
bike than missile.
Yeah, but they actually still have it on display at DynoJet. They actually built a Harley with a turbo on it to do, and they also have the record in that. So
that brings up a really good question. Has anybody ever done any land speed in side-by-sides?
I don't think it's happened yet. I mean, we have a video that's way ancient, probably 2 years old at 112. I'm sure there are people that can absolutely smoke that now and probably should. We're actually working on that ourselves. But who knows? I think that, if done right, you could go 140 mile an hour real easy.
You serious?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
I've seen some of them Evo cars and the Packard boys. Yeah. Those are insane.
I think they all have the power. I think the power is there no matter what to go 180 miles an hour. But
can it last long enough to get to the end of the run?
Yeah, probably. But I think the clutching is where the issue is, and gearing is where the issue is.
We might know a guy.
You pretty much have to.
I don't know if a CVT clutch is going to do that.
Yeah, I think it probably won't. You'd have to build a clutch with 3-foot diameter wheels.
So hopefully,
to keep it alive for that kind of mile an hour.
Hopefully, we can be correct in our assumptions that there's going to be a 4-cylinder with a dual clutch transmission and a nice transfer case so we could see that speed.
Well, I mean, no one's ever told me that that's coming, but if you look at patents, you'll find it.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know what this means. So Trevor Redmond commented in Panningale V4.
That is the new DynoJet Trevor over at DynoJet. He took my name over after I left.
DynoJet Trevor.
Speaking of that actually brings up something. I want to put out a challenge to everybody that's watching.
Yeah,
I knew this was coming at some point.
The challenge is we need a new name for Matt. DynoJet Matt has worked and served him for 7 years. Well, I think we need to have a new one that's shock therapy based. And shock therapy, Matt, I don't know, just doesn't have a good ring.
No,
I was thinking like a good ring to it. I was thinking like Shocky Matt or something like that, but it doesn't sound that good either.
No, and I haven't found anything that really fits yet. So I'm putting it out there. If you guys come up with something that's badass and you use it, let's just say it's excuse me, something more than T-shirts.
Yeah, we should.
How about a
giveaway.
$500 gift certificate to anything that we offer?
That would be pretty cool.
If you come up with a new nickname for ST Matt.
So where are we at right now? We are at 6:56 p.m. So I'm gonna make a note of this.
You mean shocking Matt?
Shocking Matt. Yeah, that's
shocking
good.
Matt.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a little note that we are at 6:56 p.m. and I'm gonna cut this out. I'm gonna put on social media so that way we can get some social media stuff going too. Maybe we can get it this week. Dude, you're coughing. It's nice knowing you, buddy.
Sorry. I'm dying. I'm going quick.
Yeah. C19.
How about Matt Therapy?
Matt Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you then everybody's
Can I give myself my own gift certificate?
But then everybody's going to come to the pits and be like, Matt, you know what? I'm having problems with the old lady. I need to, can you help out?
Oh, that's right. You get any therapy then.
Dr. Matt Phil.
So I think we kind of briefly talked about, how the DynoJet Matt name came
Dr.
around.
Matt would be kind of cool.
Dr. Matt.
Dr. Matt.
Yeah. How'd that name come?
So originally, when I started doing all the events and stuff like that, I had my regular Facebook page, and the wife kind of brought it up that it was just, we had all our personal family stuff on there. So it was like, hey, you probably need to do something different. Mm-hmm. And so there were some names for some of the guys at DynoJet, like there was Dino Dan, there was Moto Joe, and so some of the guys had names for years. It was more internal, but they had those names, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do DynoJet Matt and just see. Well, man, that took off like wildfire. And I'm sure I've told you before, Jeremiah Drew remembers this story. So we were at Vegas Arena last year, and we're at Pit 3, and this Wildcat comes by with 2 flat tires. And so the pit crew runs over, and they're flagging them, hey, you need to come into the pit. You got 2 flats. And so they pull in, and Jeremiah walks over there, and he's talking to him. And the guy kind of looks at Jeremiah's car. It's DynoJet all the way across it. And he goes, hey, so are you DynoJet Matt? And he kind of had that look like, oh. He's like, no, he's over there. Middle of the race.
That's when you know your name's a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and it just, that's how it got. It just made it easy. People could refer, to me that way, and I just let it, ran with it, and it's worked out pretty good.
So I'm not sure if anybody really knows what you're going to be doing for us. That might help the name choice.
True.
But Matt's basically going to be jumping in on dealer services with Savino and taking care of all of our dealers. We have enough now where it's too much for one person, and growing, as well as going to all the events that we typically do go to and adding all of the events that we don't go to. So
that makes a lot of sense why you want him so bad then, because now he already has a big network like that. That's cool.
Exactly. And he's been to all these events. He knows the ins and the outs. He knows the people that run the events, and we can get good spots that way. And then Matt can go right back into what he does well, which is talking to everybody face to face and answering their questions.
Yeah, that's cool. So that'll give a little bit of dude, we already got a bunch coming in. Shocker, Matt. I don't think that's a very good one, Cody.
Steve said Matt Shrink, and then he said, "Nah, never mind. That was too gay."
There's a few that come in. Shock therapist Matt, yeah, dealer Matt. So we can keep it going for a little while. You guys can keep commenting in and letting us know, but we'll probably end up choosing maybe the name or at least giving Matt the opportunity to choose his name. Maybe sometime next week or something.
Yeah, give it a few days.
Yeah, that way we can get a little bit more. $500 is a lot, man. So you guys got to work for this.
I think what we'll do is we'll pick like the top 3.
Yeah.
And then do a vote on it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's good.
Because I don't want to pick my name.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I think it would be better when it's kind of given, because then it will catch on a little better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you ever get a nickname, Justin? Growing up or anything?
Man, not really. It was Jake for a while.
Jake?
I don't know where Jake came from. I have no idea. It was back in the street race days.
I think because nobody could. Farm.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I was actually just talking about this with somebody in my family last week. Everybody still calls me Georgie. Like, I'm an old man now, but everybody still calls me Georgie like I'm a little kid. Mm-hmm. It's because I'm actually George Frederick Hamill the 6th. So everybody around, you go to
6 of them.
6.
Yeah. Well, not anymore, but yeah. So it's pretty crazy because you go to a family reunion or something, you yell the name Matt. Now they yell DynoJet Matt. You don't get confused, right? You yell the name George. Nobody knows who the hell you're talking to.
Yeah, right.
So it's pretty neat. I was thinking, like, for you at the drivers' meetings, nobody's going to get you confused.
Yeah.
Hey, DynoJet. And then boom, there you are.
Yep.
So your mom told me back in Santa Monica that you had gone away to Catholic school at one point.
For 11 and a half years.
11 and a half years?
That's not just one little point.
Was that to convert you, or?
No. So I grew up going to private Catholic school, which is really, weird because all the kids that I lived near all went to public school. Mm-hmm. So the way it worked was I would go to Catholic school during the day, come home, and then, those guys had been planning whatever they were going to do that day all day long at school together.
Yeah, you're new to it.
So I was always
outsider.
running, over to find out what's going on. And so back to when we skated, this was their big thing, was I would show up and they would be like, "Hey, you got to jump the skate ramp." Dude, we've all been doing it all day.
So you're the odd man out?
And I'd be like, "Oh."
Everyone has been eating it all day, and they've got him to go there and do it.
None of them would go off of it. They would build this sketchy
ramp. So they bullshitted you.
Yeah, they would be sketchy as hell, and they'd be like, "All right, go off it." Of course, I've got to step up and be like, "Yeah, I don't want to be the odd man out."
Yeah.
So I'd go and jump it, and they'd be like, "Oh, we were just kidding. We didn't go off it, man. That was So I was like the guinea pig.
So I think I just figured out his new nickname, Cojones Grande.
That wouldn't be too bad. A little long. We could shorten that one up. Do you ever have any piercings when you were a kid?
Oh, Jesus.
I think we hit the soft spot.
Thank you, Mom.
Yep.
So yeah, there was a point where I had I think it was 13 piercings.
13 piercings? Jesus Christ, dude.
Okay. So I lived in Vegas for six months.
Hold on. Don't tell us this yet. So we go from going to a Catholic school, you said, to having 13 piercings?
This is why I started getting tattoos. And man. I don't know. This is mid 90s. The bleach.
I cannot wait to see
bleach
what people
hairs.
say at the races.
Actually,
now.
I heard that you had a soccer ball bleach head once.
It was actually leopard spots.
Leopard hair on you.
This is getting so. I cannot wait to hear what people
no
say
Christmas
in the next
presents,
race
Mom.
on Friday.
There's a nickname in there somewhere. I know there is.
Yeah, I actually, when I had piercing, I wore a steel tusk there for a while.
A steel tusk? Explain.
It was.
Where was this piercing?
Right through my septum.
It couldn't have been the weirdest piercing you had. You had 13 of them. Oh, you're not going to tell us?
Yeah, he may not want to name off the rest of them. Is this a family show?
Yeah. No.
So yeah,
you could say whatever.
There
you
was
want,
a
man.
lot. I'll just say there was a lot.
Any in places that you don't want to mention?
Yeah.
So on Friday at the races, I bet you we're going to get some serious questions about this, huh?
I'm sure.
Well, so when you moved to Vegas and got into DynoJet, you went from transition from bike stuff into UTVs. I think you pretty much ran the UTV section for them, right?
Well, what time range was this? 2010-ish?
No, so actually, I started in So I moved to Vegas in 2010. I started DynoJet in 2013, and started off just doing tech support for the Power Commanders. Got into the warranty stuff. Eventually, when I got sent to an event, basically, Rally at the Rocks. First experience, it's 3 years ago, around UTVs. And after I came back, I was like, we were just diving into this. We had our first clutch kit and tuner. So they had already decided to do this, but I was like...
It was still at the infancy stage.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I think, we had 8 products.
Yeah. At
that time, maybe 7. And I was like, there's
Put it in
something
perspective,
here.
How many products does DynoJet have now? Hundreds?
Yeah.
So they're okay.
And basically they gave me the opportunity. I was like, we really should focus on this. And so they were like, okay, well, tell us what events you think we should go to. So I started researching and talking to people and finding out where we needed to be. And then we just started booking shows.
That's cool.
And they gave me the freedom to take chances, like King of the Hammers. We didn't know anything about how that was going to go.
One thing that I think is cool about that is that when a company is getting into that, you really don't know. You're kind of just shooting in the dark, right? Because it's a whole new industry, a whole new setup, like everything. So for them to trust you and give you the reins for that is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and basically anything that look good, that, and not everything is always successful, but overall we kept growing and growing with it. And, people didn't know when I first started going out there, they're like, oh, you do UTV stuff? And by the end of it, it was like they were looking for us at events.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
like
pretty cool.
They were looking specifically there. Are you going to be at this event? Are you going to be at this event? To the point where I was like, we can't go to them all.
Speaking of events, Chris Lemming said, did you go to any of the Pimp and Hoe parties?
We had a Pimp and Hoe party at my friend's. We did one ourselves.
Did you expose any of the piercings?
Those have been gone since the late 90s.
I can just see like the Pimp and Hoe parties. Like you got the cool hat, the whole like outfit.
Oh yeah, we had the whole thing.
Man, I really wish I could go through a photo album and see some of this stuff.
Actually, pictures... it's funny that you mentioned that because I have a picture that one of your friends sent me that it pretty much encapsulates everything about you and UTVs after your first race. You loved it so much.
So we have this little camera over here if you want to show the camera down here.
They captured your reaction of your first race.
So you guys got to check this
right
out.
Right there. Let's see if I can get that in the right spot for you guys.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Did I get that? A little closer. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Man, that is a good picture.
So safe to say that you were hooked, judging by that.
Can you give a little bit of backstory to that picture?
Yeah, so that was the Parker 250. My wife drove lap 1. Car ran great. Everything seemed fine. Lap 2, because we were doing 2 laps that race. I got a nice little bump from a car after that downhill that the infamous car, Razor rolled all the way down.
Oh,
yeah. The power lines.
Yeah, going into the wash after the Shea Road.
Got pushed up somewhat of the rear bumper, but it was fine. We pulled in, saw your guys, saw Tony and Dustin, and they checked everything out. Everything seemed fine. Like, cool. So we headed out of remote pit. About 2 miles after remote pit, we heard this thud. Felt something hit my leg.
Whoa.
We pulled over. The front drive line had just twisted.
Oh, man. Let go.
Yeah. And so we're like, well, let's see if we can go any farther. We got another 50 feet. Couldn't drive the car any farther. So we pulled over. The only tools we had was our Boxel tool roll. So we pulled that out. Which are
awesome, by the way.
And we managed to take out the front part of the drive line.
That's awesome.
It took us about an hour. And then we got back on course, two-wheel drive. Car started making a bunch of funny noises. And we just basically tried to crawl it back to finish the race. And we managed to finish in the allotted time.
And that was the face you were making?
That was the face for making it.
We probably all got pictures like that, or at least faces like that. Maybe we don't have any proof of it, though. Trevor Redmond just commented in and said that he's got a better picture. So why don't you post a picture right here in the Facebook comments, Trevor? We could check it out. That way we could look at it.
They have that picture posted in DynoJet.
I would imagine. Actually,
yeah, they have it on the wall.
I've got more versions of it, and they're all memes.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Next thing you know, on Monday, you're going to show up to the office, and it's going to be on your door.
No, I'm sure.
So that's pretty cool. It's neat to hear that the first race you had adversity, and you can still make fun of it and have a good time with it.
I had adversity in the second race, too.
This one says, how to become a racer with a picture, your picture. And it says, buy a race car, then eat. Call companies for free parts, then eat. Get a sponsorship, Victory Eat. Post stuff on social media while eating. God, and it goes on and on and on and on.
That's a long meme. Oh, that's funny. Becky Lemming just posted in tacos and unicorns, so I'm assuming that might be for this guy right here. So thanks, Becky, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. So a couple of things that we want to talk about, like Justin said, in the 2000, I don't remember, 10 or 13 area, you moved from Southern California.
2010, I moved from Southern California to Vegas.
Okay, and that's before you started working for DynoJet. Yep. But I wanted to know personally, because I remember moving from Southern California to Arizona, it's a big difference. How was it for you? I mean, you grew up all your life in Southern California.
It was. I moved to Vegas for a big life change. Wanted a fresh start because I moved here not knowing anybody, or I moved to Vegas not knowing anybody. So yeah, it was big because I didn't know anyone. I rented a room in someone's house, and
that's a pretty big leap, a life leap, I guess you could say.
Well, it all ended up working out good. Had a couple kids, married. So,
plus Vegas is way cheaper than California.
Yeah.
That's just nice. So we got one of our audience members, Billy Slade, calling in. What's up, Billy? How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, we're doing pretty good, man. Well, Arizona, we're all heated up, but we're having a good time. Matt's telling us his life story. You got some questions for him?
I do, yeah. But I wanted to start by saying I think it's awesome that Justin had Matt's mom in his back pocket as a secret weapon. So that's pretty entertaining.
I do my research.
It is pretty hilarious.
There you go. Oh, I've been sitting over here dying laughing.
Have you heard any of the
making Matt sweat?
It really is. And the funny part about it is I don't think we've gotten some of the answers out of him yet. So I got to do a better job being a host to pull these suckers out.
Yeah, I think he's right there. I think he's right there on the edge. You guys are about to make him crack.
Hey, Justin, I heard Matt's not going to have a job on Monday if he doesn't give us the answer.
Fired.
So
do you have any questions for him?
I did, yeah. I asked around to a couple of people, and I just said I want to, bring some bring some questions that might help a lot of people. And I guess a few of them would be, what's the best way to get a job in the off-road industry? I guess where would you start, and how would you go about acquiring that for the people that wouldn't know how but really love this industry?
That's a really good question.
Great question.
Justin gets that question all the time, and so do I.
Well, for me is basically. You're not getting the job necessarily right away that you're wanting.
You're not going to be the president.
You're going to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started in tech support, answering phone calls on motorcycles. Really, it's, you just got to put in the work. It didn't happen overnight. A lot of long hours.
Yep.
I think I traveled 25, 30 weeks last year. So it's not an easy job. But it's
something that you're passionate about. It makes it easier.
Yeah, it does make it easier. It's just, it's not, there's worse jobs out there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So let's just say that you didn't have a job in the industry right now. You're 20-year-old kid. You're kind of just coming out of college or whatever, or maybe you didn't go to college. You want to get a job at DynoJet or Shock Therapy. What's the suggestions there?
Power sports background is always helpful.
Yeah.
Just even understanding it. A lot of power sports, like companies like DynoJet, I had no, background history with it outside of being an enthusiast. A lot of times these companies will hire enthusiasts
because they know their shit.
They can talk about a product and not seem like they're just, a technical support person.
Nailed it. As far as how we do that.
So they have a direct communication line with the customer.
Yeah, I think it's super important. Also, their personality. And we used to hire years and years ago according to the resume, and the resumes were always fake. Or the guy's the best ever in the resume, and you find out that he doesn't know much. So we kind of switched that up, and we hire according to personality. And if we hire someone that's a go-getter, great attitude, maybe they don't have very much experience in it, but for us, they get along with everyone in our shop. They get along with everyone around them, and they have a great attitude. We will teach them. They will have the knowledge by being here because they're worth teaching because they have that attitude. Most of the guys that work for us didn't come in here knowing anything about shocks.
Yep.
Guarantee that. And but now we have 30 experts in their area working for us.
I didn't come in here knowing about shocks.
Yeah.
True. But you know people and people know you.
Yep.
What, Billy?
I was going to say a good team player with a go-getter attitude, and you're willing to give them the education that they need.
That's for sure on our side. That's how we do that. And, if they have basic mechanic knowledge or at least show basic enthusiasm for the sport or for mechanics or cars in general or horsepower or whatever it might be, pretty much the only thing we need. That enthusiasm can be turned into anything if it's channeled right as long as they show up with it.
That's actually a really good point, though, too. And I think this probably answers your question a little bit more than we wanted to, Billy. But a lot of the companies that are out there, whether you're at Shock Therapy, DynoJet, or let's just say BF Goodrich for that matter, like Tens or any of those companies, they all have a certain way of doing it. So you don't have to go in there knowing it all. You just have to go in there willing to know it all.
Perfect.
Yeah, and not be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, questions are always good, man. Always.
Because we've dealt with employees, when I was working for DynoJet over the years that didn't work out because they came in there thinking they knew everything and were, and wouldn't ask the questions.
Right.
Asking questions and absorbing that knowledge is how you move forward in that industry.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a life lesson right there, man. Did you have any more questions?
Yeah, the old saying, no question's a dumb question, especially when you're starting off.
Correct. I couldn't agree more with that, yeah. And you see it, too, because those people are the ones that learn the quickest. Those people are the ones that excel the most.
Are you looking to get in the industry?
Right, yeah, they want to know it.
Yeah. I think you're already in the industry, though, right, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, as an enthusiast, I don't race or anything, but I'm a brand ambassador for HCR Racing, and I do some stuff with Rugged Radios and Rockford Fosgate. So, yeah, I'm more of a spend my. I guess I do the same thing as racing, but I just do it for fun and as sport versus competition.
Yeah, but that's good though, because that's how most of the people are utilizing their UTVs too. I'm going to do that now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Just go out there and have fun on the weekends. Use it as my therapy to blow off steam.
Justin's therapy is a little bit more because he's going about 90 miles an hour through the desert.
Yeah, exactly.
When 50 miles an hour doesn't work anymore, then you go 60.
Right. Yep. Always up in the ante.
Right.
Exactly. What other questions do you have, bud?
So it's awesome to see good people in the industry, and how do you guys help them get their cars dialed? So I guess, from start, if somebody doesn't know about shock therapy, how do you guys go about helping the everyday consumer get them what they want?
So the majority of our customers don't know what to do to their car first. And so we start by giving them the list of things that we would do, maybe the easiest items or the items that are the easiest to put on at home so they don't have to bring the car into us or send shocks. And we'll kind of give them a list of our experience with that car. So if we know this is a problem with it, so fix this. It tends to do these things, so try this.
But before it comes to that, there's the reason that Matt is doing the dealership stuff is to get the transition from the dealership maybe to get that person to know who shock therapy is.
I think
be able to call.
Yeah, in a way. So what we've found is, people can call us, but if they're a long ways away from us, they tend to call less. And so if we have a really good or very well-trained dealer, say, for instance, in Florida, we're going to have a whole lot more Florida customers and a whole lot more happy Florida customers because that dealer can take what we normally tell people on the phone and they can tell that person in person. And so for us, it's more of an education thing that we try to help customers with and let them decide what they want to buy from us if there even are things that we can help them with. We might just give them advice and they might buy an HCR lawn travel kit.
That's actually a good thing for me to even take in starting this little show is to be able to understand that connection with the consumers. But you had to start that from scratch at DynoJet, and now you have to basically, well, I don't want to say start from scratch, but you have to transition all of that with shock therapy now too, right? Because you got to educate.
I think it'd be easy.
Yeah, it really wasn't from scratch. What it is it was taking existing people and using them to get the name out. Mm-hmm. Which brought in new blood.
Well, not just the name, but the knowledge up, right?
Right. And I always found that it was easier to, on both shock therapy side and DynoJet side, you can get extremely technical with this stuff to the point that half the people it just flies over their head. You got to find what that customer needs and how talking to them about the product.
Yeah.
Where it's, I hate to say dumb it down because it's not really what you're doing. You're just making
the stuff you guys talk about. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, so you're talking in a form that can be understood by the average consumer.
Yep.
Or even a shop. Just because it's a shop doesn't mean that they have a full understanding. So you got to approach them in a way and explain it to them so it makes sense, because then when you start getting more technical, there's a little more understanding there.
Well, both of you guys are good at that. Like, I can't do the same communication that you guys do. Like, I could just tell it how it is, and then that's it. Like, I lay it out. But that's a pretty good question to bring up. I'm really excited to see what happens, dude. This is going to be pretty cool. You got anything else, Billy?
I do, yeah. So a lot of people said racing is awesome but expensive. How can one start slowly and get to know it? And I mean, is that maybe something with, starting with working with a team, maybe as, like a helper to a pit crew, things like that? What if they want to get into racing, maybe not as a career, but even as, just a thing that they do on the weekends to slowly work their way into the racing scene?
Sounds like he really likes the racing portion of it. Don't tell his wife. Maybe he's going to race. Now, you kind of did that, though, don't you?
I think that's perfect for Matt.
Yeah, that's the exact class we're in, Rally Sportsman.
Well, yeah, but before you even got there, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, starting, helping out with teams, I mean, I can tell you one thing, teams always need help.
Oh, yeah.
It's... volunteering, because most of these teams don't have paid people at the races.
They get paid tacos.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll buy you food, whatever. That's just how the sport is. Yep. And so by volunteering your time and getting to know people really is a benefit. And then, and then it'll make you decide, hey, do I really want to do this or not? If you do, then you have something like Best in the Desert where they have the Rally Sportsman class, which if you look at the rules, it's really close to a stock vehicle. That's kind of what it is. You have some rules like the doors have to be able to be pin shut. You can run a stock fuel cell. You have to have window nets. So there's some basics that you need, but overall it's a
pretty bitchin' entry level class though.
Yeah. And the last few races, like I think the last few Best in the Desert races, we had 30 in a class each time.
Really? That many?
Yeah.
I think it's a great class. We just entered our pre-runner in one for the heck of it and had a great time.
Yeah.
Do they go before? Like, can you do it before and check out the track?
Yep.
That's what a lot of the trophy truck teams show up a lot with rally class cars.
Yeah,
really?
they take their UTV, enter it in rally, and they get a pre-run for the trophy truck.
Dude, that's perfect because Billy has a car that he could just take out there. You just pin the doors and he's go.
Well, and that's what they do. They come out for one. They'll come out for a lap or 2 laps. They won't even finish the whole race. They'll just come out there for a couple laps and pull off course. Sam Barry does it.
Yep.
Next time I'm going to pin the doors shut in a unicorn and go rip.
You should. It'd be fun.
It's amazing.
I might get a little out of control out there, though. I don't know if I need to be out there in my brand new car.
You're not the only one in that class. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Got plenty of company missing the course. That's
it's also
for sure.
like a third of the cost.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can take a stock car with a couple of things and enter the class. I think it's awesome. But your suggestion about volunteering with a team, I would say yes. You're gonna learn a lot and have the knowledge of what's going on. And it might even turn you off from racing.
That's what I was gonna say, because you're gonna get all the background. You're gonna know how much work it is. Like
volunteer, right? I mean, just as a quick list, right? So volunteer. You're gonna find out yes or no. Yeah, you want to do it? Start small. Grab your stock car, enter the rally class. You're going to find out then if you can afford to continue to do it, because you're probably going to be hooked, and now you're going to be going faster, want to, and then you're going to enter a bigger class, and then you're basically screwed and you're going to get a divorce.
Yep. Exactly. And you're going to schedule your wedding on the date of the next
Yes. Yeah. Important events will go by the wayside.
And then the rest of your life is scheduled out based on a race program.
100%.
I think my wife took all her vacation for the year. She scheduled it all on races.
Well, at least you guys got jobs that you can do that for the whole year. That's perfect.
I'm not sure if that answered your question about racing, man, but that's an easy way to 1, 2, 3 it.
No. Yeah, no, it definitely did. And I think a lot of people wonder that, and they wouldn't, they bought a Razor and they love it, or, a Can-Am or whatever they bought side by side. And they have the idea and they see it, but they wouldn't know the first thing about how to go about doing it.
I think it's cool too, because like just thinking about it from a completely non-racer standpoint, everybody goes to the dunes and they have a great time. They're the fastest guy in their camp. They all have a good time. They come back on Monday and they want to be the next Robbie Gordon, right? So that always happens in every camp. It's completely traditional, but it gives the opportunity for those guys to go show what they can do in a car and do it simply. And I'm not being derogatory about it, because I'm stoked on those guys. Like, I love those guys because they're the reason that it's growing so much. I was one of those guys back in the day too, taking the Rhino out, couldn't even climb up hills, but I'd go as fast as I could, right? And then so it really turns into being a good class. Like if you have those guys coming back, maybe the next year there's 60 guys in the sportsman class or whatever. It's super cool.
More the better.
Right, and who knows? Maybe the next Baja 1000 champion's watching the show right now as a 16-year-old kid, and maybe he just needs a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help.
You have an excellent point, and everybody should push everyone to do it because you're going to find that guy at some point.
Yeah, 100%. And plus, going out and helping a team is just fun as shit anyways. It's always cool.
Well, the winner of the sportsman class last year was 13.
Was it Robbie's?
No, it was Jack Olgus.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, really? 13 years old? Wow. What was he driving? So
he drove Polaris last year. He has a no limit built Can-Am this year.
So Best in the Desert doesn't have limitations on age or age restrictions?
They've had some, but they do some kind of test.
Like to see if
qualify.
you can do it good?
Yeah.
When he's got a famous last name, so I'm sure it was a little bit easier for him. Chris Lemming just commented in and said, if you want to race, be ready to be broke or broken down.
Hey, some people are into that. They love that about life. They're willing to fix things. And I know a lot of guys that do rock crawling, and they spend probably more time wrenching on their trucks than they do actually driving them. But it's just a way of life for them, and they wouldn't have it any other way.
I think that's the same here.
Yeah, 100%. You got to love being around the industry no matter what it is, working, racing, whatever, if you love to do it. So, sweet, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and then I got one last one. All three of you can answer, or if you don't want to answer, but if you had to pick 3 products for a UTV to upgrade right when you buy one, what would it be?
Oh, thank God he said that, because I thought he was going to ask about piercings again.
No. As soon as I get off the phone, I'm going to go back to the show, and I'm going to let Justin take back over.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm going to get a UTV, any brand new one, it doesn't matter what brand it is, or it could be Can-Am, Honda, whoever. The first thing I would do is safety stuff. Some of them have decent cages on them, but I would probably put a cage on it first. I'd get tires and wheels, and then I would do suspension.
Matt?
I would have to agree with that.
I would too, but I'll go in maybe a little bit more detail. So safety first, and that's seats, belts, cage maybe. A lot of the new cages are really nice. You might be able to get away with that one way or the other. Maybe a wheel and tire, because they're usually stock ones aren't good enough for any of the stuff that we do.
Yeah, you get a lot of punctures.
And then I would do suspension before horsepower, and I do horsepower last if you're going for the fun accessories, right? So safety's first, and then tuning of the suspension, and then I would go to horsepower. It's no point throwing power to add it if it's not safe and the thing doesn't work right.
Yeah.
And so in that order would be my suggestion.
And you get a lot faster when you have the right suspension.
A fact. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Although
I would agree with all three of you as well.
And I got to ask this question. Who in their right mind gets that damn pipe with the second outlet? I don't get it. I don't understand that thing. I don't get it.
The dump valve?
I don't like it, dude. I'm like anti.
Is it the noise thing that you don't like, or what is it?
I don't understand why you have 2 holes. I just don't get it. What's the other hole for?
This is a family show, George.
Hey, God gifted you 2 holes.
I only use one of them frequently. Okay.
Well, I think. Well, here's the thing. I think like Evo developed that exhaust more or less for, I guess, if you had a really high horsepower car. If you were running a heavy horsepower tune and you wanted to basically dump your exhaust before the muffler to create less heat in the engine. It's definitely, a turbo application is definitely wants a little bit of back pressure to spool. Other than the fact, I like the sound of it. I throw mine open every once in a while when I make a run, and just, same thing. Like, if you were 16 years old and you had a little Honda Civic and you chopped the muffler off and put a straight pipe on it. And yeah, it was probably cool for a minute, but you're like, well, I can't afford to weld my muffler back on. So this is a way you can just flip a switch.
He admitted that he uses the second hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we really appreciate you giving us a buzz, dude, and thank you very much for the awesome questions. Those are really cool.
Good questions, man. Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to watch the rest of the show. Maybe hear about some more piercings and tattoos.
Dude, he's already saying no. All right. Thanks, Billy.
All right, guys, have a great evening.
You too. Later. Those were some pretty good questions. So, man, we got a bunch of comments coming in. So, do we want to keep pushing on the piercing thing?
I think he's already
out of it.
His face got red.
He's already shut it down.
He was sweating a little bit. But what comments do you have, George?
So the first one is Matt has done every job on the team, which is fantastic because there's no other better way to learn, right? Than being thrown in the fire.
I'll go one step further before you go to the next one. Here at the shop, we threw him right into the wolves, and he has been installing parts and working up a sweat because the experience on the parts are necessary for what he's going to be doing. But I feel bad.
I have not worked this hard since in 15 years, since I worked in a construction job. I'm
digging that.
I think I got home the other night and fell asleep in the chair watching a movie at 8 o'clock. I was like, out.
The real Netflix and chill.
And then
but I'm learning a lot. It's really cool to learn because when we talked about me coming over here, he was like, well, I'm gonna put you putting shocks on cars, learning all that stuff. He's gonna have me in shipping, answering phones, because the best way to learn is to learn as much as you can before you just go into it. That's how you're successful at your job.
So I knew you got something to say. Would you agree that you're I don't know if you guys are both like-minded like me, but I get almost like an adrenaline rush when I'm learning. I really enjoy learning. I don't like sitting in a classroom. I don't like having somebody talking to me how to add 1 + 1. But if I can do exactly what Justin's putting you through the ringer now, working on a shock, seeing these parts, bolting stuff together, cleaning the shop, I love that. I actually really like it because it really gets me going because it's stuff that's new and I'm absorbing new stuff.
George, you are hired.
That's how you get a job in the motorsports industry.
Well, I actually learn better by actually physically doing it.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's how I've always learned. I can read a book and be like, okay.
Boring, yeah.
No, it just doesn't stick the same. Yeah. Because doing an action helps. It helps my memory store it.
So that probably actually speaks well to the reason that you've been in the industry for so long and you're making such good connections.
Yeah, I just want to learn it. The more I can understand and learn, the better.
So I think that over the next 2 months, Matt will have done every single job at this company.
Just like Drake says, start at the bottom, work your way to the top.
Every single job will have been done and basically understood so that when he goes out to a show, he's going to communicate that to our customers. The best way to put those parts on, here's a little trick, don't do this way. And have already answered all the questions because of being on the phones. And then combine that with his experience already with dealers, it's going to be its home run.
That's going to be pretty cool.
And the awesome thing is the staff here. The guys out back, they are so helpful. They're,
So he's asking questions to everybody else, but he's not telling you he's asking those. He's just going getting the answers.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that's how you learn it.
Dude, it really is, though. That's good.
If you don't ask that question, and I'll go, in the beginning, even if I think it's the answer, I'll still go check with Jason or Steve or Brandon or Kyle. Just check with someone just to make sure. Until I feel confident enough that I know that answer is correct.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So we had one comment in from Brian Hawkins that said we were talking about the growth of the side-by-side industry and the racing and how to get into it and stuff. And he was saying, because we had Alan Ampudia on last week, and he was saying that he wanted to actually race a side-by-side. Mm-hmm. And he's had resources to be in trophy trucks and obviously a bunch of other vehicles. I honestly, when he said that, first of all, I should have bricked because I was like, who doesn't want to drive a trophy truck, right? But when he said that he wanted to race side-by-sides, I was like, now the tables are turning a little bit.
Well, he's not the only one. There's 3 other guys that came out of trophy truck that are in UTV now.
Can you mention their names?
Let's see who's driving.
I know a lot of the guys are doing stuff similar to that, like Casey Curry does stuff like that.
Yeah, you caught me, with unprepared, but there's 3 guys that have left truck to do UTV, or they're running both still.
Let me ask you this then. So if you're going to a Best in Desert race or a score race, do you know what the ratio is? If there's 20 trophy trucks compared to 100 side-by-sides?
So in score, there's not as many side-by-sides as there is in trophy and one combined. But there's more side-by-sides than there are trophies. There's more side-by-sides than there are Class 1s.
Okay.
And it is the largest growing class in score and has been for the last few years. If you go to a Best in Desert race, there are more UTVs than any class anywhere, no matter what.
No matter what, yeah.
But you get into the 190, 240 entries in UTV and Best in Desert.
Holy crap! Really?
Between all the classes. And
that's still insane.
Yeah, but like say score, it's a lot more expensive and a pain in the butt to go down to Mexico. So the amounts are less, but you've still got 70, 80 entries easily, maybe even as much as 100. But sometimes in score, you're going to have 60 or 70 trophy trucks.
I was actually talking, this is kind of on the same subject, but off subject a little bit. I was talking to my buddy. His name is Cade Clayson. He's a privateer motocross racer, and he's one of the best motocross racers in the world. He makes almost every single main event, or close to every single main event in the Supercross series. And he was talking to me about, doing some other stuff in Arizona, and he trains kids and does a bunch of stuff. But he was actually bringing up side-by-sides too, and I hadn't thought about it in a while, but my answer to him was side-by-sides are way bigger than motocross now.
Maybe not I don't know. I may not agree, but I think that it is very close and it's going that direction.
Yeah, and I meant in the fact that recreation. So
the average guy, yeah.
So
recreation, definitely,
for sure,
100%. Yeah, the dirt bike racing, I think, is still bigger, but it's crazy. Like we just talked about driving a Rhino in 2010 or whatever it was. Like, it's just insane to me to like grasp this. Like, you guys see it every day, but I don't get to talk to as many people and be on the ground floor like you guys. I just cannot believe it, how big it's getting.
Good for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And great for the industry and great for people. I love it.
Yeah. I think the side-by-sides have actually, though, brought an off-road racing in the United States has brought a new surge of people coming to watch races.
Oh, agreed, 100%.
I mean, you go to Laughlin, you'd be amazed at how many people are actually standing up, on the hill watching.
So I was at a Laughlin race in 2002, and UTVs weren't racing really yet. And, there was a few hundred people in there, and in the race just this year was thousands and thousands and thousands, and not a hotel room that was available anywhere in Laughlin. So huge difference.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, and Jeremiah Drew was saying that the UTVs has the sponsorship backing, and it's the the backbone of the desert racing stuff now. And you kind of just mentioned that it pretty much is, because if there wasn't the UTVs at all, there would be half the entries.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think total entries in an off-road race would probably drop by half.
That's
very
bonkers,
much so,
man.
Yeah. It is, and just like Jeremiah said, factory support is pushing some of that, and the accessibility of the class is pushing it. So, for instance, like say trophy truck, a typical prep between races is $50,000 to $100,000.
And there's no sportsman trophy truck class.
And there isn't Chevrolet, there isn't Ford, there isn't anyone putting money towards it. When you win in a trophy truck race, they're going to hand you a check for $10,000. That doesn't even cover the tires.
Dude, it really makes me happy to hear this stuff.
And so that's why I think you're seeing a lot of the trophy truck guys. They're all competitors, and they're all racers, and they want to race against the best, and they want to beat the best. Well, trophy trucks are the fastest, so that's a natural place to end up. But once you get there, now they're looking back at UTVs and going, well, there's 200 people in there, and maybe, granted, not all of them are the fastest, but I guarantee you the top 50 are freaking fast, and the top 10 are amazingly fast. And so trophy truck guys looking at it going, I'm $100,000 a race. I go into UTV, I'm $10,000 or $20,000 a race, and the competition is higher.
I haven't looked at the splits or the time difference between a Class 1 or a trophy truck compared. Do you know what it was, like the top trophy truck and the top UTV was at Silver State?
So trophy trucks, I couldn't tell you the split between the top 5, but I think it was...
Well, maybe just the winning times of each.
That I don't have it by memory, but I can tell you that the UTVs, that the top 5 places were in 2 minutes.
No way, really?
Yeah, 5 guys in a 2-minute spread, maybe 3-minute spread. If you were, we had actually done the math because we lost a belt, and that was about 10 or 11 minutes. If we'd kept our pace and only lost 11 minutes, we were going to be 11th.
Dang.
Out of 48.
One belt would have put us, if we had first place pace, would have put us 11th.
That's nuts.
It is, and that's, it was 220-ish miles, 6 hours or whatever it was. or 4 a short race, right, for them because of the fires. But that's serious competition. You look at trophy trucks, maybe the top 2 or 3 guys are within a few minutes, and then it falls off to 10, 20, 30 minutes after that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Like when we did the Lucas Racing stuff, I remember we up at Reno, and that was a really high-speed track, so the times are a little closer. But in UTVs, at a short course race, coming down the hill, we were maxing out between 94 and 96 miles an hour, and the top 11 guys were 0.9 seconds apart. Like, how competitive is that? No other class had that, even close.
Mm-hmm. It's, I think, a testament to the class rules, not so much in short course, but that you have to run the factory wheelbase and pivot points, and you have to run the factory engine and trans, and that keeps the cars so close that it really is a driver's race. Now, that's assuming that you have the money to prep the car and it doesn't break.
Well, also, with the surge of UTVs, there's this whole young group. The kids running 170s, 570s.
True.
When I was at DynoJet doing the sponsorship stuff, I loved getting involved with those kids. And I mean, those are the kids that are going to be coming up and growing the sport even more, because all these kids are getting experience. So talk about the drivers that are coming.
So I'm going to go a little sideways, but same question on that. What do you guys think is going to happen to UTV racing if there's a recession, say, right after the election or whatever it might be? Let's just say it dips. Now, not 2008, but a normal recession. Do you think that we're going to have a drop in really UTV racing, or do you think that it's affordable enough to where everyone who is racing can pretty much still do it?
I think the racing stuff will probably stay roughly the same. Maybe have a couple people drop off, but I think it's going to affect the recreation quite a bit more, because the guys that maybe can't afford their financing or whatever it is, I think that might fall off a little bit. So, but I don't think it's going to fall off that much. And the reason I say that is because $1,200 is a lot of money to most people, but $1,200 is not a lot of money in the side-by-side industry, and dealerships can't even keep side-by-sides in stores right now because people have off and they want to get out.
I agree with both. So I offer one other thing to kind of consider too. If your income comes down and you're going to have to make some choices, then you still want to have something that's fun,
right?
Something you can enjoy. Right. And, back in the sandcar days, that was an expensive one to keep around when you're only using it 4 times a year. So that sucker's gone.
Right.
But these, for $200 or $300 a month, I think a lot of people are going to keep that one thing that makes them happy, because they can take that to the grocery store, at least in Arizona. They can take that to, their friend's house. They can rip out in the backyard, run desert, and make trips out of it for very little money.
Or even if you have quads, street bikes, or dirt bikes, all that's going to go first, because the family wagon is going to
That's a one-person event, and, the car's got the family in it, so I think it wins.
Yeah, a lot of people have turned in their Harleys for side-by-sides.
So what did they say? I forgot what the actual saying is, but there's three industries that are recession-proof: gas, makeup, and fuel. And booze.
Liquor.
Yeah. I don't think the side-by-sides are anywhere close to that, but I think it's along the same lines. People are going to prioritize the side-by-side over most of their other recreational stuff.
I hope so, and I do think so. But here's another thing to think about on top of all of those things, is that Polaris and Can-Am have the wherewithal and backing to throw out 0% financing to keep that trend going through a recession for 3 or 4 or 5 years.
That's actually pretty freaking awesome.
Now, think about that. If you can 0% a car, and that's the one thing that's badass, and your whole family can go have fun, even when you don't have the money to do much else, I think that would perpetuate the industry through a dip.
I agree. Go order pizza 4 times less a month.
So industry's still around. Back to where, circle back, if the industry's still strong, then I think the racing is still strong.
That makes a good point. What do you think, Matt?
I think so. I mean, it's going out to the dunes or something for the weekend is a lot cheaper than going and buying 4 airline tickets, and then hotels, rental cars. Yeah. That's, my wife and I just bought a toy hauler. It's like, oh, now we can go camping with the kids.
Right.
It's a lot cheaper than family of 4 going to Disneyland for the weekend.
That brings up a good point, though, too, is like if it were the family and you have to get rid of some stuff in a recession,
kids.
The toy hauler probably goes.
Kids sell the kids.
Did I say that?
The toy hauler probably goes before the side-by-side. So
I think it would.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Because you can still take the side-by-side out.
Still go camping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Put a 10 up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I didn't mean to bring a downer into there with the recession talk, but I just thought the industry is strong enough to live.
I think that's a pretty good point, especially since we're talking industry talk tonight. All right, let's go back to you moved to Las Vegas, and it's what I know, right? We keep Tarantinoing this, and I say this all the time, but it's the way it goes, man. The show takes its own turns when we have conversations like this, but I do love the fact that we're talking about all this stuff. So when you moved to Vegas, how was it taking the family out there? Because we talked about what goes first when the recession. What did you start picking up?
I had no family at that time. It was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you took the leap of faith.
Yeah. I went not knowing anybody, just going, I'm going to try to start a new life and kind of just.
No regrets, not even one letter?
Regrets.
Yeah. No,
that's pretty cool, though. I commend that because that takes a lot of balls to be able to go out there and do that. And what was the catalyst to start going to work for DynoJet, or how'd you get in that?
So I was actually working collections, of all things.
Really?
I was working for a collection company.
I thought you were going to say like repos or something. You were out there just muscling people.
No, the company I worked for did do motorcycle repos for a couple of the companies, for Yamaha, I think. But it was more of I happen to know, have a friend who worked there also, and then went over to work for DynoJet. And I knew of Power Commander. You know, I had one on my bike. And I was like, hey, if they're ever hiring, let me know. Because he had actually gotten a job. His friend worked there and got him the job. So just one day he was like, hey, we are hiring. And I was like, okay. So I put in an application, went and interviewed, and then didn't hear from him for like 2 months. And I was like, oh, God, I guess I didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting the phone call, and they're like, hey, yeah, when can you start? I was like, it's Friday, right? Like, I'll be there Monday.
Nice.
Because in the collection companies, the day you turn in your 2-week notice, you're out.
Yeah, like we were talking about.
Yeah, that's just kind of how that industry works. You're like out that same, like the minute you turn it in, there's just so many social security numbers that they send you on your way.
That's the same way it is in the computer industry, like knowing all the data. You walk into a room or you say, I want to go to a meeting. They're like, nope, you're done. You're out.
Yep.
Walk away.
So that was July 31st. 2013 I started. And when I started there, it was just everything. Every time there was an opportunity to do something, I took it, learned it, tried to do the most I could with it, and expand.
I guess just like you're doing now.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I just.
Was it easier back then than it is now?
I don't think so.
Because that whole learning thing that I was talking about, like, I love learning, and it doesn't matter whether I was 20 years old or, older now, like, I still love it.
I just, it pushes me along, and the more knowledge I get, the easier it makes my job.
Yep.
And if my job is easier, then it's more fun. So, and this is an industry, you got to have fun while you're doing it.
Dude, 100%. And so speaking of that, Jody Workman commented in and said, side-by-sides are therapy.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you nailed it. That's a really good tagline. We might have to use that. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll buy you tacos, Jody. Thanks for the comment. All right, so you start working at DynoJet and things are going good. They gave you a pretty good opportunity. I mean, so DynoJet was mostly in the product or had products for street bikes, but
that's what we're known for,
right? And then so it transitions over, or they have you offered, hey, these side by sides, or
they had brought in a guy named Lawrence Bolton, who was actually, the crazy story is he was part of DynoJet when it started back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Like, he'd been around DynoJet for a long time. Then he went off to do his own diesel company and stuff like that. And when they came up with this whole clutch kit idea, that kind of stuff, they brought him back. And they started developing this stuff. It wasn't so much that, and I hate to ever take like, oh yeah, it was because of me, because there was a whole team back there.
Well, the show is because of you, so we
but there's a whole team there that made this happen. I didn't do the R&D, I didn't do the testing. What I did is I took a product that they made And I did the best I could with getting it out there so the public knew, the people knew, the dealers knew.
Right. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Wanted to make sure that we were always represented the best we could, which is the same way I plan to do here, is that, take what we have and get it out there and always kind of have that presence where, they're comfortable of coming to us. And, they know that they're going to be, even if I don't have the answer, I'm going to connect with them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, hey, I don't have the answer. Let me get back to you. And I follow through with that.
Figure it out. Yep.
It's not like, okay, I'll get back to you and then never call them.
But during that time, was it like Wild West, guns a-blazing when you got that opportunity at DynoJet? Or was it like, all right, I'm going to start figuring out this side-by-side market, and then you start enjoying it and you start getting more into it?
It was more of, it wasn't Wild West. It was more of like, hey, I think this might work, or I think this event would be something good for us.
Because you start going to these events and you start looking at these
and
products.
I talk to people, and people are like, hey, I get emails all the time or messages on social media. Hey, you should come check this event out. And so I do some research, see what the event was, and be like, hey, we might want to go to this.
That's pretty cool.
It'd been years since DynoJet was involved in, when racing, and then started going to the races. I went to the races so that we had a presence there because people had our product, and if they had a problem, they couldn't ask a question.
It's pretty crazy to me that, like, during this whole time you're doing all that cool stuff, but you didn't want to race immediately? I would have been like, dude, give me the keys. I want to go.
No, I did, but I checked with the wife.
Yeah,
she's in control of all that. I knew she was going to get hooked when she saw it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
and you also said that you got introduced to the UTV market at Rally on the Rocks.
Yes,
that's a pretty crazy place because that's not like necessarily a racing environment.
No, and it was the first time I actually ever drove a side-by-side.
Isn't that a gnarly place to first get into a side-by-side?
We went on one of the easy ones.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, have you been over there, Justin? I always wanted to go, but I've never seen it.
No, I haven't. And I feel like I don't have the ability to give any advice on that stuff, and it drives me nuts. So I have a big, a big want and need to go and see it and know all about it because I haven't done it.
You're a little bit of a busy guy, though. So
lately, yeah. But.
Yeah. So it seems
everyone made fun of me at that event because I had my AGV sport bike helmet I was wearing. They're like, that's like a sport bike helmet, right? I was like, safety, man.
So you had mentioned a little bit before that during your time at DynoJet, obviously you're growing growing with the company and growing your position and stuff, but you started handling, I think it's fantastic. You started handling most of the sponsorships, but a key part of that is you started handling it with younger racers as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, it was, one of our R&D manager was handling kind of the sponsorship stuff for a while, but it was more of like, hey, we offered racer support. Basically offered you a discount, racer support. And going to starting to go to these things and seeing these kids and getting emails. It wasn't just the kids. It was even, people like Jeremiah. Jeremiah was the first person we really dove in and did a title sponsor for.
Okay.
Where, we had his car on all the time. We were making sure it was running the best it could always. I just thought, I always felt that sponsorship was a way to get a name out. I was sponsored when I surfed. I knew what they wanted, they required from me.
Right.
So when I went into doing sponsorship, I just did it because I was like, I didn't think anyone was really focusing on it, and I knew that it could help move our product forward. I don't want to be the guy answering every single thing on social media, tagging me, hey, asking questions. It's nice when you get these sponsored people that are also on social media, and they're going to go out there and start answering questions for you or giving advice.
Being an ambassador for the product.
Exactly. And so I really saw the value in that, and so I kind of pushed it forwards.
Was that one of the conversations that you had with Justin when you guys first started talking? Or
Jeremiah was actually the reason we started talking.
Oh, wow.
He was having some clutch issues where they were struggling with belt temps and blown belts during races, and Jeremiah had a lot of success with our clutch kit. His car was actually one of the ones we used for R&D.
He actually stopped me after we lost a couple of belts and said that he had run one belt for 3 races.
Yeah,
I went, okay, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Make a change.
I still have the belt.
That's crazy.
He actually ran it for an entire year.
No shit.
In a Can-Am.
That's bonkers.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Still looks new. So I said, okay. I said, we started talking. I was like, hey, I'll send you some, kits to try out. I remember that video was the first one, and they were very happy. It hadn't come out yet that they were using our clutch kit at the time, but they saw belt temps drop, and
it was the very next race when we ran that kit was the first race we had ever been able to run the car floored the whole race. We had never been able to do that. We would floor it. We would back off the second we had temps, and we'd drive according to the temps.
So if I'm reading between the lines here, I can see. Obviously, you have Jeremiah as a, I don't know, what do you call a guinea pig, but you start testing the products, you start getting them good, and then you have all of these race-proven miles. And then since you've been working so hard to be able to connect to all these people at the events, you can offer suggestions like this to a fantastic race team.
Correct. And the thing, we also, the guys at DynoJet were really appreciative because they would get good feedback. Like when Darren would call or Tony would call.
We'd call them every single race. We'd call them every single test and let them know what we found, the changes that were made, and give them the data. And then they were able to give feedback, changes, improvements, or basically maybe even use the information to improve some of their kits.
So that's a good point to bring up, because no matter who you are, if you're a consumer, you're a brand ambassador like Billy said he was, the HCR, or a racer, if you can provide feedback to any of these companies, whether it's minuscule or very large, it's a huge help, and that can open up the doors to being able to either get a job in the industry or maybe even get a sponsorship down the road because you were good at helping them and giving them information first.
Exactly, and the way Matt was describing how DynoJet went about it with us and then proving their product through racing, I mean, it's exactly what we do with everything that we build.
That's so rad.
And, not to bring it back to us, but the reason that I bring that up is because Matt already knows that whole process. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
So him coming on board with us, nothing changes. Every one of our products are going racing first and going to customers after that, after it's been proven. So he knows that whole process and he can walk that all the way through.
That's so cool. Chris Lemming came in and he said, yeah, that was Rally on the Rocks, was an amazing event, and that's where he met you. And he said since then you've been amazing to his kids, helping out the kids.
Yep, sponsored those kids. That was the one thing is, the older class, older, the
mature racers,
the adults that, that I've sponsored. So the regular professional level, that's a no brainer.
Right.
I also sponsored a bunch of East Coast people because we didn't have a reach out there. That was the one thing with DynoJet. We were trying to reach East. Well, that's a plan here too, is we want to reach East.
Do you guys do anything when you do the sponsorships? Did you guys have, because I know Craig Scanlon, if they sponsor anybody, he requires that they submit report cards.
We had a form that basically said, we want race reports.
No, report cards from school. Like if you're not doing good in school, sponsorship's gone.
I hadn't done that yet with the kids.
I thought that was the best thing, man. And he says everybody gets straight A's now.
Yeah. Well, with the kids, I just thought helping them because sometimes they get overlooked or whatever. I mean, that's the future of the sport.
Yeah.
It really is.
The industry. Like it's super cool to see that. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit then. So what was the reason, like you're working at DynoJet, you're dealing with all these cool sponsorships, you're dealing with all these teams, so the kids, everybody. What was the catalyst to you getting in a car and getting your feet wet at racing? Because I'm sure that you went riding and trail riding and stuff, right?
Yeah. I went out. I got to go out testing with Jeremiah. I was involved with that team last year heavily. I got my first opportunity to navigate at Vegas to Reno. You actually had a picture of us in the car at Vegas to Reno.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It's actually the backstory on that picture is actually funny. So I was doing the first leg of the race, and about, I'd say 10, 15 miles in, car made a really loud noise, and we had just about zero power.
Crap.
Couldn't do over 30. I know we came into a speed section there, and
that's the worst feeling.
You need to slow down. You need to slow down. He's like, I can't go over 25. I'm like, all right, because it's a 25-mile section. And I had we had pre-run that course last year, just the beginning, and I had memorized, written down. I had it on tape, that long whip section going, with the rollers in the back when you're going to pit 1. I had a count, so I knew it was 1, 1, 2. I knew the pattern, and so I practiced over, and I had GoPro footage where I was like, all right, this is my moment to shine, all this stuff. Well, we couldn't go over 25 miles an hour.
I got a separate question. Are you good at poker? If you can get those patterns down?
No, I'm not good.
Can't count cards.
Yep.
So that was Harlan was taking that photo. And if you zoom
in, that's a good photo, though.
If you zoom in the photo, we're both waving like this because we can't go very fast.
I think you've been in limbo a couple times.
Oh yeah, we've blown intake hoses off, and you got nothing.
Yep.
So okay, so that was the catalyst?
that was mine, and I want my thing is I was always willing to, like, if someone says, hey, you want to race with me? Get in the car. I don't have to drive every time. I just want to be in the car.
Yeah.
I went and did a race in Kentucky with James Cantrell, the tree racing. Talk about something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You might only do 45 miles an hour, but when you've got these immovable objects in front of you that you're flying at, I had a whole new respect for those guys. But, it was one of those things, like, if, the last race I got to, co-drive for the Funnies VP team, which they're the ones who helped me build this car. I'm always willing to jump in the car. I don't have to drive.
Yeah, that makes a good point.
But driving is sure fun.
That makes a good point, though, is you're willing to put in the work. So we got a couple of questions that came in. Well, first of all, Jody said, Dr. Shock it is, come to the Midwest. So I don't know what she means by come to the Midwest. Maybe there's some cool races out there. But Alfonso was asking, what's something the average weekend warrior would not expect during a racing experience? And I'll answer. I'd like you guys to answer, too. In the desert, it's the speed over the obstacles. In short course, it's how fast you go into the corners. What's your guys?
I think it's how fast you go over a whip section.
The people would be surprised.
Yeah.
Because
you usually come to one of those sections, you're like...
Justin took me out in a Can-Am once through some of the trails behind where he lives a long time ago, and I think it was in Isom's car, and I was sitting passenger, and I go, I don't understand how, because to me the craziest thing was seeing everything pass that fast. Because I couldn't, it was hard for my peripherals not to keep track of all this, I don't know what you want to call it, just flashes right next to you. So I would think that the tunnel vision would be what you don't expect. You need to have that tunnel vision.
I think trying to put myself in the place of most weekend warriors, if you're on a normal weekend deal, you're going to drive. If you drive as fast as you can drive in your weekend warrior car, then you're driving maybe to either your limits and then you slow down when you reach that limit, or you drive to the car's limits and you slow down when you reach that. Okay, take those two ideas, completely throw them out the window, and now you hop in a car in the same spot, and it's a desert race. It is 100% pinned through anything you go through, or 100% brakes.
Right.
And you don't ever stop. You don't ever lift. You don't ever take a break. You do that for hours upon hours upon hours, and then you get fuel, and then you do it again for hours and hours and hours. So that level of disrespect to your car, you better get used to driving it like you plan to explode it, because that's how you have to in a race like that.
I need to change my answer.
Uh-oh.
The dust.
That's
another one too. Yeah, dust is a bitch.
Like going full tilt boogie, not being able to see in farther than the front bumper.
Yep. And that's always been
knowing
crazy.
There's cars in front of you and cars behind you.
And literally go hands off the wheel, because you're not doing any better trying to put it somewhere. You don't know where it's going anyway.
Yep.
I feel like that is something that's not just you can't just do. It's learned. Because I've done it only a few times, just at the UTV World Championship, in a shorter race than most of the races that you guys have done. And I was always decent, like going through the dust. I wouldn't slow down or anything, but I was scared. And that was very little dust compared to the dust that your guys are talking about, or silt.
Complete brownout.
Yeah, that last race.
Yeah, 100% brownout. And I mean, like, literally don't even see the bumper.
Yeah, like you can barely see the shock tower or something.
So in a lot of these straightaways, for instance, at the last race, the first 30 miles or first 20 miles or so is straightaway, 100 miles an hour, 90-degree turn. Straightaway, 100 miles an hour, 90-degree turn. And every single straightaway is blind.
Yeah,
brown
because
out,
the
100%
dust is going
brown.
on. Yeah.
And so you have to be able to put your foot in it. And when your navigator's like 90, 92, 94, 95, 96, don't lift when you're blind.
God, that's insane.
And trust when he calls out that turn that.
Yeah, 90's coming up, and hopefully he calls it right.
Woo-wee. That's pretty crazy, man. All right, so let's go a little bit further into the story since we're talking about racing. Give us a little bit of background on how you built your car. Did you just have a play car and you decided to build a race car, or what?
Yeah, it was a play car. There were some products that I didn't have to take off the car, like a halo locker, front diff. The RCV axles were there.
So you had some nice stuff already on it?
Yeah, definitely had some nice stuff on there. The KC light bar. What changed is that I've made a lot of big and good relationships in this industry.
Yeah.
So when I kind of decided to start racing, a lot of people wanted to help out.
That's awesome.
So people like HCR, sent me the trailing arms and A-arms. Justin helped me out with the shocks.
And a lot of people may not know this. This is a DS.
It's 64-inch.
It's a narrow car, and it has the smaller shocks on it than most of the stuff that people are racing.
Yep.
And
it's quite a bit smaller than your car.
Yeah, and he's able to run through stuff pinned.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. No, you couldn't do that on YXZ. Definitely not in the Unicorn.
If Chase was driving, he'd tell you it would float over everything.
Chase knows all, right?
Yeah.
What Jeremiah Drews chimed in and said, co-drivers don't get respect. We were actually talking about this. I don't know if it was with you guys, but I was talking about this. And I was saying, it was actually with Alan Ampudia. The co-driver is got to be, like, I would even consider, I think I said it in the last show, the co-driver is more important than the driver.
Agreed.
Because the driver is just listening at that point. The co-driver is the one making the decisions, right?
I will jump in on that. So I've navigated for Class 10, Class 1, trophy truck, limited truck, and driven those, and driven these. And I think the right seat takes a special guy that can completely throw their trust out the window, or have the ultimate amount of trust in the driver, because to do their job right, they're staring at a screen and their neck is hurting.
Yep.
Through all of that, and not so much where they're going. It's almost
mouth is dry from talking the whole time.
Exactly, and they have to understand that the driver's not going to kill them every time.
Got it.
And so if you ever get queasy, then it's not the job for you, because you can't look where you're going to straighten yourself out at all. And I think the driver is important because they're carrying the speed and looking where they're going and doing the best they can. I think the navigator keeps them from killing himself on blind corners when it's not coming up. The driver does the easy stuff. The navigator does the hard stuff.
Got it. Makes a big difference, though. And any of the guys that are good racers or top racers will always say, thank you. My co-driver did so much work today.
It's a hard thing to do.
And a lot of times the co-driver seat makes for a better driver.
That's a good point.
Oh, guaranteed.
Like you were saying, you'd learn everything.
Yeah, because if you don't know that side, you don't understand, It definitely has helped me. And that's why I'm always game to jump back in there.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad either. So the reason that I said it was because the way that I approached my words was I sat in the co-driver's seat, and it was very, very difficult for me. It was really difficult. I think it was it got easier as we went through the race, but it was like I didn't have control, you know what I mean? So you got to lose, like you just said, you got to wipe everything clean and just be like, all right, I trust this guy, or I don't care if I trust him. But it was pretty difficult, and I thought to myself, I'm not even gonna make it through this dang race. Like my neck hurt, like you said, like all this stuff, and I was like, okay.
Anxiety builds.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot too upon itself if you're not comfortable.
Well, it's because it's a lot of pressure, right? What if I don't call this at the right time and we blow out that corner? Or we
it's on you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I said it was important for them to have it, because they are so integral.
Jeff and I joke all the time. Sometimes he'll call a right instead of a left. I can see it, so I know it's a left, right? So, but we add that up. It's $100 every mistake, or okay, one more and I'm stopping and kicking you out.
Yeah. So it's a fun little game.
I've done that too. Like left. Oh, sorry, that was right. Well, it's like even the last race. I don't know what was in that race, but lead nav didn't work at all.
Temp or slow.
Yeah,
it wasn't refreshing.
No, it had us like miles away. Like most of the race, luckily the car I was in had one of those little small 5-inch Lawrences.
Yeah,
I was able to look down at that, even though it looked like dot matrix. It was like I could still see it, because I actually gave the iPad out the window at one of the pits because I was like,
pointless.
It's not even working.
I'm not a lead nav fan.
You run backup nav then, or you guys have two or just one?
No, just one GPS. But we use lead nav for pre-runs, so we can maybe find ways around things. In Score, you can do that. In Best in Desert, no. But lead nav for us isn't fast enough. It doesn't refresh fast enough for a race car. It'll tell you you're in the corner after you've passed it.
Yep.
Plus, iPads are really sensitive to direct sunlight. And they'll overheat and shut off for a while. So we exnate that and just stay with the GPS.
Well, that's a good thing to know. So any of you viewers out there, if you're trying to get a GPS system, I actually had this question a few weeks ago. It sounds like the Lawrence stuff is pretty good, huh?
That's what we run. I think just about every big team does. Trophy trucks too.
I'll be running over there soon.
All right. Well, so living in Vegas, and all of a sudden, it's like, all right, yeah, we're coming down to Arizona. We're gonna have some fun in the heat.
So, Matt, what's your plans here now that you're here? What do you think this is going to be?
I think it's going to be one of the coolest adventures, personally. I'm very excited for it.
Family excited too?
Yeah. Family's excited to be down here. We've talked over the years about that Phoenix was always one of the options, and getting this opportunity here, I just know that shock therapy is in this growth motion that I want to be a part of. It's fun to be on that ride and be a part of that ride.
I think so too. I think Justin's doing a very good job, but I also think that it's a lot of the industry growth. I think it's people like you that started at DynoJet. I think it's tons and tons of other people that are working. Joey Giovanni, like all these guys are helping grow the industry, and it's benefiting everyone.
Yep.
I think if you have all those good people communicating and they all have each other's cell phones, then that's even better. Then it becomes a really solid industry that's growing, not one that's temporary.
Got it. Well, so is there any cons to moving to Phoenix other than it's hot as shit?
Humidity. Jesus.
Really? I don't think it's humidity.
It's probably just because he's
but if you, it just came from Vegas, it was just a dry heat.
So same temp.
Vegas doesn't have the monsoons, though, right?
Right.
Well, that's true. Yeah. You got that.
And I happen to move right in the middle of that.
You know what's good about the monsoons? Side-by-side riding.
True. They water down the trails.
All right. So, well, first of all, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on the show and stuff. We have a rapid-fire Q&A, rapid-fire, because we want to do it. But I'm going to ask you guys both these questions. So the first question is, iRacing or real racing? Matt first.
Real racing.
What's iRacing? I'm kidding.
Yeah, I agree with that. But some of these are profiling questions, mind you.
Oh.
So
want to go on a date?
I know, right? This one is a supercross or motocross question, so I'll skip over that, and we'll go to a desert racing question. Dustin Jones or Brandon Sims?
Ooh.
Dustin
Jones.
Really? Yeah. I like Dustin's persona on media.
Okay.
But I think that Brandon is faster. Sorry, Dustin.
Oh, man.
I gotta go with the mullet, man.
I'll go there all day long.
You gotta go with the jorts?
Yeah.
Okay, favorite food?
Tacos.
Yes! Woo!
Lasagna.
Oh, yeah, we asked you this one before. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Pizza rolls.
I don't know what either one of those are.
Little Smokies are the little hot dog, little wieners, and then pizza rolls are just like the pizza pockets, but really small.
Well, I like Italian, so I'm going pizza roll.
You're going pizza rolls. Favorite soda?
Coke.
Sprite mixed with something alcoholic.
Yeah. That's a good one. Another profiling question: Uggs or Crocs?
Uggs.
Uggs all day.
Yeah. So you guys, Cody Sanders is probably going to comment in or something right now too. Well, this one's going to be good for Justin, but this might be a little bit harder for you, Matt. Most memorable race, and it might be one that you didn't drive or co-drive. Might even be a 170 kid. Who knows?
Most memorable race. Jeez.
A lot of these things, like for me, it was on a dirt bike when I was on an 80. I didn't win the race, but I came back and I passed almost every guy and I almost won the race.
Memorable race would have been the night race at Laughlin.
Yeah. How about you, Justin?
I'm going to go with two of them. The 1,000 that we took 36 hours to do and had a head-on with a local.
Woo!
Because there was so much involved in that race. And but I'll also throw in the Mint from this year because we podiumed until Dustin took it.
Yeah, that son of a gun.
That's why Dustin is behind.
That son of a gun. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate Melted Crunch.
Vanilla all day.
Vanilla all day. Dogs or cats?
Dogs, but we got cats.
Dogs, and we have cats.
I thought you were going to say gators or kangaroos.
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
You're going kangaroo too. Ski or snowboard?
Ski.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Don't have Netflix, so I have to say YouTube. And because I live in the sticks, we don't have good enough connection for it.
Yeah, gotcha. We're skipping this one, burrito or taco. This one is... It's just Supercross or motocross. Best in the desert or score? That's what we're going to pick.
Best in the desert, since that's all I know right now.
So I'm going to go with best in desert because I think that it's got more media and promotion, and it's easier. I'm going to go with score for the 1,000 because it's the hardest, and you should always try to do the hardest thing and be good at it.
Yeah, I agree with that comment, but I'm picking score just for the tacos. I don't care about the racing. So, what other form of racing would you like to try? It could be water, air, it could be F1, it could be monster trucks. GP, MotoGP.
MotoGP.
I think that would be pretty sick, but honestly, it looks really hard.
I'm a Rossi fan.
Yeah,
so
same
always
here.
been.
But Bobier, all those guys are badasses, even in Superbike and stuff. What about you?
I'm an F1 geek completely.
Yeah.
And if I can be involved in that in any way, shape, or form, I wouldn't even have to drive one if I could just rub the suspension on one.
That's exactly what my answer was, too. I was like, dude, if I could just like look at it or smell it, I'd be fine.
If I could get 1% of their intelligence rubbed off on me by me being there, I would have accomplished something.
All right. And so the last question is, again, a profiling question. Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Chips and guacamole.
Chips guacamole all day.
All day. So, okay. Well, thank you very much. I don't think we have very many more comments that are coming in. I don't know. Jody says, please explain that to my wife. I don't know what that actually means, Jody.
How you go racing?
Yeah. How do you go racing?
And skip your anniversary or a wedding?
I'll tell you what.
We'll have to ask Skylar after he figures that out.
Oh, you guys know who Jody is?
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I thought he was talking about that, racing versus...
if he's asking about going racing, I suggest you don't have to tell it to your wife. You just got to go get the weekend off and go help a team.
For sure.
Then ask for permission from the wife. So, well, thank you guys very much for both joining us today. I know we didn't get too far into your story, but I appreciate us having all this shop talk. And we definitely wish you luck on this new chapter, man. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So, and obviously, Justin, you got a badass on your team, too.
I know. I'm really proud of him being here. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a big change, but it looks like it's going to be an awesome change. So, thank you guys very much. If you want to follow up with Matt, you can look at some of the latest social media posts that we did at the Dirt Life or on Shock Therapy, and you can follow him on Instagram. He's linked in any of those posts. Next week, we have another awesome show. Well, it's not this coming Monday, but next Monday with Travis Zollinger of Zollinger Racing Products. So that's going to be a really cool show. We're going to talk about racing again. We're going to talk about some of the products that they have and just have a good time with them. So we can't thank Justin enough for being a sponsor of the show. You can always use the code DIRTLIFE at shocktherapist.com and save a whole bunch of money. You can call them up, get your appointment scheduled for a ride improvement system, and mention that the Dirt Life referred you over there. Like I said, Zollinger Racing Products, you can use the code DIRTLIFE and save a whole bunch of money there. Rugged Radios, again, use the code DIRTLIFE, save a bunch of money at ruggedradios.com. Solder Weld, those guys are always doing a good job. They got these new welding blankets out. They got the off-road repair kit. And, and I wanted to thank those guys from TAC Media for giving you guys those dog tags, too.
It's a really, really good idea to have those tags.
I think it's going to be cool. And I'd like to talk with Don and the guys at Best in the Desert and stuff, too. So thank you very much to the guys at Solder Weld. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at solderweld.com and save a whole bunch of money. And thank you very much to Ryan and all the guys at KMC Wheels. We really appreciate it. Since I thanked all the sponsors, do you guys have anybody that you'd like to thank? I'd like to thank Steve for helping set up today.
Steve is awesome. And,
yes, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and everybody else that was around here kind of working on it as well.
And thank you guys very much for staying late.
Yep, thank you.
Anytime, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, George.
Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the Dirt Life Show. We will see you guys soon. Pay attention to our social media. Have a great night. We love you. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Dirt Life Show.